Okay, we should be live now. Should be. Let me know. Let me know who's here if I'm live. Let's see here. Let me know if I got sound. Oh yeah, actually I have a prop here for this. Let me know anybody who's here. It says two people are here, I think. No. Been a while. I know, I've been crazy busy. Had a lot of life stuff happen. Hello. We can. I've actually have the stream going right now. I think I can invite you actually, yeah. I'm gonna try to let's see here. I'm gonna I have an invite code thing. I'll send it to you in your email and see what happens. Just follow that and see what happens. Okay. Okay. Might be able to do it through your phone. You can try to do it through. Hang on. Okay. All right. I sent the invite. Yeah, I just sent it to you. I sent it to your email, your Gmail. Hmm. And then it should just add you to the stream. You get the link right now? Okay, I just replied to your I replied to your last email you sent me. Yeah. Yeah, just click on that. Your tablet. Okay. Hey, Brian Thompson. How you doing? Pretty awesome. Oh, you got my stream going in the background. That's why I'm hearing my voice. Hang on, we're trying to get somebody to join here. Hang on, folks. Hang on 1 second here. We got somebody. Um, yeah, it's fine. Just I'm doing well, Brian. How are you doing? Got married. I want to show this on the screen, but I don't know if it's going to show up real well. Fine. Hang on. Here we go. Here's the Sangheili section. There's the Sangheili section, all the different armor and stuff. Oh, nice, Brian. Yeah, it was a long time coming for me. 14 years. Now there's less money for Star Wars stuff. Yeah. You having a kid or something? I'm assuming. Or you just mean like the wedding? I guess paying for the wedding. I gotta turn this down over here. Yeah, we just did a real small wedding at the park, so it wasn't too crazy. I'm not sure what you guys did at the wedding. Yeah, yeah. Man, Okay, all right. All right. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, how much did you end up spending, Brian? Just curious. Like, you don't have to give me an exact number. I ended up only, I mean, the most expensive thing was a minister for me. But hang on. Okay. Anyway, um, most expensive thing was a minister. That was the most expensive thing. Renting out the park was cheap. Um, I already had a suit. Luckily, I already had a lot of things. I reused a lot of stuff from my cousin's wedding, um, that I went to a few years ago. So, I didn't have to buy a suit or rent a tux or anything. My wife had to buy a dress, but that she ended up getting a really good deal on that. And then the park I was able to rent, that didn't cost much because it was nearby. And then, yeah, I mean, and then like a few other things here and there, just some decorations and things. So I mean, we got off. It was less than 1,000. So I don't know what you ended up spending. With anything under 1,000 is cheap for a wedding. I was looking. Most people spend like thousands on weddings. It was more of a formality really than anything else because we'd been together so long. We'd been together for like almost 14 years. So I mean, we've been engaged. We've been engaged for a couple of years. But anyway, I got off cheap. So I'm not trying to get personal or anything. If you don't feel like telling me, Brian, it's fine. But yeah, big boy stuff adds up quick, man. I'm realizing that the older I'm getting, like houses and house stuff, wedding stuff, it adds up really quick. But anyway, we don't have to talk about that because we're here to talk about sci-fi, Star Wars stuff. I've actually gotten back into the Halo books. I've been starting to read the Halo books again. So I don't know if anybody wants to talk about Halo. Oh, wait, might have somebody here.
Here?
I don't know if anybody wants to talk about
Hey,
Halo. Here. Wait, might have somebody here.
am I on?
Yeah, you're on. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, here. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the my computer. I mean, so I can
Yeah,
just
you're on.
I don't
Yeah.
have to hear it double. Hey,
Yeah, you might have to
I mean,
yeah, mute you got something feedback or something because I'm hearing
yeah.
myself.
Okay, how's that?
Okay, I think that's better.
Good.
Long time no see, eh?
Yes, it's. I don't think I've ever. I don't think you've ever seen me, have you? I mean, you might have seen videos.
No, just picture. Yeah, just not like live. No.
All right. Cool. How you doing?
Doing well. Yourself?
Good. Good. This is I've never done. This is kind of cool. Okay, so hello, all the viewers and fans. I don't know how many there are, but hopefully there's some.
Yeah, we had 7 people on here. I think we were trying to get it going, so we lost a few people, but people come back. I'm not
Well,
worried about it.
they probably saw my ugly face and they're like, "Oh, I'm walking off."
No, no, yeah, you're not ugly, man. I'm the ugly one.
Okay,
Anyway,
so yeah, I'll let you take it. Take it. You know, while you want to do it.
yeah, no, we can. I know we were gonna try to talk about the Callista trilogy. That was the original plan.
Mhm.
So, I guess, I know you said Planet of Twilight's your favorite, right?
Of the trilogy, yeah, definitely.
Huh. Okay. See, I like Darksaber the best,
Still,
and then I really like Children, and that most people I think say that's their least favorite, right?
yeah, yeah. So for me, it would be Planet of the Twilight best, Darksaber, and then Children of the Jedi.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
It's just you know.
It's like the complete opposite for me.
Part of it probably is, especially with Planet of the Twilight. Okay, so I don't know if everyone here knows this. So I've been a Star Wars fan. Well, actually since 1980. Really, that's the first one I saw in the movies because I didn't see the '77 movie in the movie. I was a little bit too young. I was already born, but I was only 2 years old. But anyway, I got into the EU. I'm thinking, okay, so I got into the EU when Heir to the Empire was a paperback and Dark Force Rising was just coming out. So I guess that was 1992. So I bought the audiobooks, I had the audiobooks and I listened to Point of the Twilight a lot more because I think I had that one before I got Dark Saber. I don't know which book came out first, but I know I had Point of the Twilight first. So I listened to that one a lot more and I liked that one. I do like Dark Saber, but another thing too is I like insects. So like the concept of Drox really interested me. The Dark Saber, I don't know. I mean, Hutch having a Death Star super laser, just I'm not sure why it didn't really appeal to me as much. But I did like again. I know it was a little trippy with Leia being drugged throughout most of the book, and obviously I know that you said too that when you were reading Dark Saber, it happened to be during 2020, the pandemic. So obviously, a
Yeah,
book about
Twilight, you mean, yeah.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
yeah, Twilight. I'm sorry, yeah. So, right, a book
yeah.
about like people dying of a plague is something you
You
want to read.
picked the worst time to read it. Yeah. I
Right,
picked the absolute worst time to read it.
right.
That was the problem.
Yeah, no, I get that. But but I mean, the concept itself, I like the planet, the mystery of what's going on with the planet. Why is the force warped? The Drox. Even I like the fact of Leia lightsaber dueling a hut. A hut with the force, no less. I mean, it was just a really cool concept to me. I
Yeah.
also like like I guess I don't know. I mean, with Callista, especially because I think I'm trying to remember. Did I know? I guess I didn't know that she would marry Mara Jade yet, but still, Callista just didn't seem to be the one for Luke, even to me. Well, to me at least. I mean, I knew they could have made her the one, but in my opinion, so the idea of him chasing her in Point of the Twilight, I liked better than the idea of actually them together in Darksaber, especially because she doesn't have the force. She only can tap into the dark side. She seems to be I don't know, that entire thing I didn't really like as much. And also I didn't, the concept is that was the one I'm pretty sure where they go back to Hoth because they're trying to like rekindle her force and they find those wampas that are attacking what's left of Echo Base where there's this like big game hunter and his crowd were there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go back. Part of it's on Hoth, yeah.
Right. Yeah. It was. I mean, nothing wrong with that. I just felt like it wasn't as interesting to me as Part of the Twilight.
See, I don't know. I like that. I like the I don't know, I'm trying to think of. See, that's the thing, like Kevin J. Anderson does a lot of callbacks. He's big on callbacks to the original trilogy, and I know a lot of people don't like that. I like it personally.
I mean, I
I
don't mind
mean,
the callbacks. I just didn't like that particular. I don't know.
because Luke runs into the Wampa that he cut his
Right.
arm off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know. I know it's like I feel like people think it's just like silly and like contrived
No.
or whatever,
No,
but
I actually like that. I like the Wampa itself, and I like the fact that like the Wampa was like directing the yellow Wampas to attack the big game hunters and stuff. I just didn't like that concept. I mean, like even with the big game hunters, I mean, like the big game hunter, in my opinion, was kind of like I don't feel okay. So I don't know how you feel about hunting. I would hunt for food. I've hunted for food, but I don't believe in the big game hunting. So I wasn't really sympathetic to that crowd. Well, except I think the pilot he was kind of sympathetic, but the rest of them were just kind of like they're kind of going to an animal's land and they're just hunting them for trophies. It just seemed to be I don't know. So
okay. Yeah, I get that. I get what you're saying.
yeah,
I guess part of it too is I'm assuming you don't play the video games or anything, right?
I don't know. What's it? What for Part of the Twilight or for Dark Saber?
No, just you don't play Star Wars video games like any of the newer ones.
Oh no, the last video game that I've played with Star Wars would have been the Star Wars trilogy, I guess, in like like around the turn of the century, or maybe a little back.
Okay.
And of course the
Because
'70s, I guess '80s
yeah,
game, but no, nothing newer.
but there was a There was a video game that came out around that time, Jedi Academy, where you play as actually a student at Luke's Jedi Academy,
Oh,
and one of the missions is on Hoth, and you go back to Echo Base, and you fight a Wampa, like you fight a group of Wampas. So I read that. It's fun. I read Darksaber around the time that game came out. This was like 2003, I think, 2004, somewhere around
hmm
there. So it just maybe that was probably part of it because it just kind of like I was able to really picture it in my head because I'm like, oh,
right.
I just played this, I just played this in a video game. So it was just a kind of a cool like connection thing. And then, well, that speaking of that, that character is in the EU too. I don't know if you've read his name's Jaden Core.
He's a
I don't
Jedi,
know if
right?
you know that name.
Is Jaden Core a Jedi?
Yeah, Jaden Core. He's in Riptide and Cross Current.
Okay, yeah,
And I
yeah.
think he's mentioned in some of the other he's mentioned in the New Jedi Order, I think a little bit, or
hmm
maybe Fate, maybe one of maybe the Legacy or Fate or something.
Right.
But he's from that video game. That's
Oh,
the student you play as in that video game, and then they added him to the EU. Like I again, same thing with Kyle Katarn. I don't know if you
yeah.
know
No,
Kyle Katarn, obviously. Yeah, he was in the video games first, and then they added him, obviously because it's all connected. The video games are in the same continuity as the books.
right.
Oh.
Well, I guess a question though is, as Jaden Core, why are you going back to Hoth? You weren't just going to hunt Wampas, right? You're going there for a purpose, I imagine.
No, yeah, you weren't going there to hunt Wampas. It was there is a dark side cult called the Cult of Ragnos. I don't think they're mentioned in the EU really. But it's a dark side cult basically that's trying to resurrect
Exar
well
Kun.
you know who this is. Not Exar Kun, but the guy that Exar Kun talked to that convinced him to turn to the dark side. Marco Ragnos, is that his name?
Oh, sorry,
Tales of the Jedi. You read Tales of the Jedi, right?
a long time ago.
Okay. Well, anyway,
Galaxy far away. No.
yeah. It's anyway. He's a character from Tales of the Jedi and Ancient Sith. He's it's a cult. There's a Sith cult trying to resurrect him, basically, and you're going to have to investigate because I think like a New Republic probe or something's spotted some weird activity. So your Luke sends you to Hoth to investigate it, and then you're attacked by Wampas. Yeah, it's not. If anything, yeah, it's actually probably more. Um, it's justified in that because you're just defending yourself.
Right.
You're not going after the Wampas.
Right. See, that's a big difference. Like,
Yeah,
a perfect example of that. So talking about games, I know, the 1999, the Episode One game. Star Wars Episode One. You
yeah,
basically
yeah,
play.
yeah. I played it.
Right. Well, I don't remember. It's there's some kind of guards that I forget why. I don't remember now what's going on. But anyway, yeah. So, they won't attack you unless you attack them. And I know somebody used to always attack them, and like my friend used to always get mad at that because it's like you're just killing guards for no reason. They're not attacking
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. I mean, obviously it's a video game, but still, I just feel like my principles are the same. Whether I'm playing a game or
Yeah,
not.
that's rare. That's rare in a video game because usually most video games, the enemies just come at you. So that's rare.
Well, I mean, it's one
Yeah,
particular guard. It's on Tatooine. There might be Jabba's guards. I don't remember who exactly it is, but it was. There are a lot of things that attack you during the game, but that's not one of them.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
I know. Is it the what are those guys called? The pig guys, the big
the
fat
Gamorrean
pig
guards.
guys.
Yeah, it might be. I don't remember if they were the
It
Gamorrean
probably is.
guards. Yeah. All I remember is that if you attack them, then the vocal cue, they're like, "You are no good killer," and then they go after you. you know,
Yeah,
But like I said, if you don't attack them, then they don't go after you.
yeah. I need to
I haven't
replay
played
that.
that game in years either. I just remember that they got Jake Lloyd, Liam Neeson, Qui Gon, and maybe even I don't think they got Ewan McGregor. I think that was someone else voicing Obi-Wan, but they got Liam Neeson and Jake Lloyd and Ahmed Best to be in the to do like audio cues in the game.
Yeah, yeah. I remember, I don't think I ever actually owned that game. I had the demo. I had the demo for it. I played the heck out of the demo. Because I remember playing that. I played that first level where Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are in the trade. They're at the beginning of the movie where they're
Right.
in the
Or the
you
Trade
know,
Federation Cruiser.
the Trade Federation Cruiser, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
I played that level over and over again because that was all I had was the demo.
Mm. Yeah, well, I didn't. Yeah. So when we were talking about games, the last game system I've owned, that just tells you how old I am. The Atari 2600 and the Commodore 64. But there was a good friend of mine who's actually a little bit older than me. He owned. I don't know what the game names. I mean the system names, but he had the episode 1 game, and he had like I think the Lego Star Wars trilogy, and we played them. I played them over his house at different points. But again, the Lego Star Wars game I haven't played literally in over 20 years. So it's been I mean, I'm playing. I'm thinking of this off the cuff, but I haven't even seen it in 20 years probably. So to
Yeah,
know, you know.
yeah,
But
those.
we're getting way off track though.
No, you're fine. I don't. It. I mean, I'm not. I'm gonna be honest with you. The video games were trying to think of how to put it. I mean, technically, my first EU was a book. It was the Jedi Apprentice books.
What? So you broke up? Say again?
The Jedi Apprentice.
Oh,
The
okay.
first EU book I've read was the Jedi Apprentice books because
Okay.
I actually when I was a kid, they used to do a scholastic like summer reading program thing,
Yeah.
and my mom enrolled me in it. And then the first like little pack I got was it had the first Jedi Apprentice book in it.
Wow.
That's the Obi-Wan. I don't know if you remember. That's where Obi-Wan is an apprentice. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh no, that's not the one I was thinking about. I was thinking of the one. Well, either way, I was thinking of the one with where Obi-Wan is where Anakin's an apprentice. There's a bunch of series. There's a series of
That's
books.
yeah, that's Jedi Quest. That's
Jedi
Jedi
Quest.
Quest.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Okay, no,
Yeah, Jedi
I
Apprentice
never
is the
read them.
first one.
Yeah, I never
Yeah,
read those. Well, I never read either one of those. They made audiobooks of Jedi Quest. I don't think they did of
yeah,
Jedi Apprentice. At least I don't have them. So
yeah,
that's why I'm thinking of those. But either
yeah.
way,
It
I
was
was.
Jude Watson. It was Jude Watson. She wrote Jedi Apprentice. Obi-Wan's apprenticeship to
Okay,
Qui-Gon, and then Jedi Quest is Anakin's apprenticeship to Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, and
Right.
then they did a third one, I think, which was set between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope as Obi-Wan training, I think, a younger, like a Jedi that survived the Purge or
Oh,
something.
okay.
That one I'm not as familiar with.
Like I said, I only know the first 4 books of Jedi Quest because again, that was on audio. That I have it on audio.
Mm,
Um, yeah. Again, no, I was laughing more along the lines of the fact when you said it was your first one because you were a kid at this reading club, and
yeah.
I'm laughing, not laugh, I'm laughing at myself really because
No,
I
I
realize
hear you.
how
Yeah.
older I am because like
No, I hear you.
yeah, I was an adult when those were out already.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, yeah. No, it's
even to be honest,
yeah,
even in 1992, when I first, like I said, that's when I got Heir to the Empire, the paperback, and I got the hardcover of Dark Force Rising. I bought them over at the same time around. 1992, I was already like 17. You know what I mean? So I wasn't even a
uh-huh,
little kid then. You know.
yeah,
So I mean,
yeah.
like
No,
really,
it's
the only Star Wars books I read as a little, I mean, I guess I could have read the Han Solo trilogy and the Lando trilogy, but I didn't. I didn't see them as a kid. The ones I read as a little kid were the Star Wars storybooks. I have Return of the Jedi in my car actually for some reason. But those storybooks, they were hardcover and they had like frames from the movie, and it was basically like the movie but just in like a shortened form.
mhm,
Yeah, I
yeah,
read those. In fact, the one thing rereading them, I didn't realize this. They don't actually, I guess because in '83 they felt this was too heavy for kids. They didn't say Yoda died. They said Yoda needed to rest. So so he finally told Luke that he was his father, that Vader was his father, and then he went to rest, and then Obi-Wan took over and explained everything. They didn't say he died. You know what I mean? So I
that's
mean, I
actually
already
kind of
saw the
funny.
movie. Yeah, I already saw the
That's
movie, so I know he died. But
that's pretty hilarious,
yeah.
honestly. That's hilarious. Oh man. You could be like, well, you could be like, you could reuse that. You could kind of almost make a joke out of that. Like, Darth Vader, he was tired from getting electroshocked by Palpatine, so he had to take a rest. He had to take a nap on the Death Star, and then Luke forgot him there or something. Like, I don't know how you would do that, or like, and then at the end, like,
No,
at the
well,
very end, when Darth Vader had to rest on and something caught fire, like whatever. His bed caught fire while he was taking a nap or something. Like,
That's even more horrific.
man, you can get a lot of mileage out of that joke. I'm gonna have to remember that.
Well, no,
That's hilarious. I'm gonna
well,
have to
no,
find that panel.
yeah, no. They did say that Yoda. I mean, that Vader and Palpatine died. I mean, like the Emperor and Vader. They didn't hide that they died, but like Yoda, they just
Because
said
they're
that he
bad guys, I
died.
guess.
I guess, yeah. Well, even
Maybe, yeah, I
I don't know
guess.
what it was. I mean, even with the pilots, like with the Ewoks, they didn't hide from the fact that they were like, the Ewoks, they were getting shut down by the stormtroopers, until until Chewbacca had the idea of commandeering a Scout Walker. So they didn't hide that either. It was all
What?
Yoda's death. Teddy bears
Well, yeah. What does that
getting
mean?
shot.
That
That's totally
Ewoks,
fine.
like the Ewoks are, I guess their lives are just meaningless. I guess they're just cannon fodder. Just they don't.
I
That's
guess.
hilarious.
Because
I didn't even think
honestly,
about that.
the way they described it in the storybook, because you really only see like one Ewok die in the movie, really. And the way they
Yeah,
describe it,
directly. I think. Yeah.
yeah, the way they describe it in the storybook, it's like, yeah, they're just getting shot down left and right.
It's even worse. Yeah. 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 I didn't think about that, but yeah, because yeah, in the movie you only see that one. That's the
Yeah,
only you only see that one get directly killed.
yeah. Oh, actually, talk while your viewers are here. Here's a fun fact. I think I told you this before, Hidden Gem. I'm sorry, Hidden Gems. Can I ask you? Can I get your real name on the program? I don't remember it.
Oh, it's Austin.
Austin, can I call you that on the program? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, Austin, the one thing that I think that your viewers, especially like your age or younger, are gonna be mind blowing about is this. So, now that the Blu-ray is out and everything else, we know that there's different deleted scenes in the Star Wars trilogy, especially in Return of the Jedi. They filmed the female pilots, you know, and you know that, okay, and a lot of people are wondering why they weren't put in the movie. Now, of course, like the deleted scenes that you see, the acting isn't the greatest, but honestly, those were the rehearsals. That that wasn't the like final cut anyway. But so like that's not the reason. So the reason is this: in the United States, as crazy as this sounds, okay, this is before the PG-13 rating. So there was PG, and then there was R.
Yeah.
Okay,
There was no PG-13 and
right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: if it isn't a drama of a real war, okay, showing females dying, female soldiers dying would make an automatic R. So that's why, like, I'll give you a perfect example. The Empire Strikes Back. Okay, you remember when like you see the walkers, and I remember again in 1980 I was a little kid, so I remember watching this in the movies, and this is what really made the Empire seem evil to me. When like the rebel troops are running away, they're not fighting back anymore, and the walkers are just shooting them down. But if there was like a female soldier running and she got shot down, it would be R. As crazy as that sounds. So that's why the only footage of a female pilot, of a female A-wing pilot that's kept in is the one where right after Wedge says Red 2, Red 3 pull in, and then there's a girl who's actually dubbed by a man saying got him, and two TIE interceptors shoot her down, and then Wedge shoots down the two TIE interceptors. Okay, the reason why that was dubbed by a man, and that's the only scene with a female in it, is because it would be rated R, because she's a female soldier who got shot down. As crazy as that sounds. Can you imagine if Return of the Jedi with the Ewoks running around and singing and dancing at the end it's a rated R movie? It would be totally crazy. That, I mean, like realistically, Lucas basically had to do that.
Huh. I didn't know that. That's very interesting.
Oh, I thought I told you before.
That
Yeah,
makes sense. No, now and then yeah, because you think about it, I never it's not yeah, like you said, that one pilot that's dubbed by a man or whatever, but you
yeah.
never see like female rebels getting killed or anything. It's
No,
always yeah, and the pilots, yeah, and all the pilot shots or cockpit shots or whatever, it's always men, yeah.
yeah. Now I know that, like, again, because I mean, and I'm not saying it's not true, but like, there are so many people that are like, oh, the misogyny of the '70s and so forth. But and I mean, I understand. There are more females in like non-traditional female roles now than there were then. But it's not just because of that. It isn't like, oh, I guess I don't want women to be whatever. It's a matter of practicality. Like, if you're gonna have like a family featured film like Star Wars be rated R, it would kill the franchise. Because like
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah,
went to see it in the movies. I was 8 years old. So many kids went to see it. Making the last movie R would really kill it. I
yeah.
mean, and this is before Rambo, which was the first R-rated movie that had toys attached to it that was sold.
Mhm.
Rambo and the Terminator were 1984, and they were after this. So at the time, an R-rated movie was not anything that was shown like even peripherally shown to children.
Yeah, and that
So
became a common thing, didn't it? Because, like, pretty much every R-rated movie for a while there got toys, like Alien
yeah,
and or
right.
Aliens and,
Yeah, RoboCop,
Predator and all those
right,
got
right,
toys,
right. Now,
and
now,
still do
Alien,
now.
yeah, Alien got toys after the fact. Alien came out in '79, but like it didn't get
Yeah,
toys after
later,
the.
yeah.
Yeah, right, right. So yeah,
Yeah, and Predator Aliens and Predator later got
right,
got toys, yeah.
right. Because like I
And then
said,
Alien versus Predator, I know that was a toy line that became a comic, that became a movie and a video game, like, that was, like, a whole, like, weird thing. I don't know if you know
yeah.
about any of that.
Well, I don't watch regular movies honestly, so I don't know
Okay.
specifically, but I believe you. It's more than conceivable. Like I said, it was a completely different time at that time, and
Mhm.
that's the reason why it was like that. But another interesting thing is they were a lot of the special effects and stuff. It was so new, especially for okay. So like as an example, Admiral Akbar and the Mon Calamari. Okay, obviously it's a man in the suit and a lot of the muppetry and things of that nature. They were so unsure if that would work that they actually filmed. I think I know I told you this, that they filmed the whole bridge sequence of the Mon Cal cruiser with General Madine and human actors. Yeah, I mean, the whole human actors,
Yeah,
actors as
yeah.
human. And to be honest, okay, now granted, again, I'm sure they would have done a few more takes, but to be honest, the Madine actor was just so wooden that it wouldn't have worked. I mean, like watching that footage, you don't get the same kind of like gravitas that you do from Admiral Akbar. From a rubber faced guy, a guy in a rubber faced mask. I mean,
Yeah.
well, a lot of it's the voice too. Not Tim Rose, the guy that did the voice of Admiral Akbar. He was a really good actor. In fact, I actually have an audiobook from the '70s that he was a part of, way before that. But my point is, just the acting was just so bad. Like, okay, so like a perfect example is when the Super Star Destroyer blew up. Okay, you didn't hear Admiral Akbar start cheering or anything like that. You basically saw him. This wasn't the voice. This was like visual acting. You saw basically that he was just kind of like he was tense because he thought they were all gonna die basically. And then when the Super Star Destroyer blew up, and he knew that the Death Star shield was already down, that they had a chance of living through this, he just kind of sat back and put his head down like, oh, we might have a chance. We're not going to die. The adrenaline was just good. Which really is a moving scene to me. I mean, granted, again, it's a guy in a rubber suit, but it's a moving scene to me. Even as a
Yeah.
kid and now when that happened, in the footage with General Madine, they all started cheering like they were, like they were in a sports bar and their team scored a point. It really was like a completely different tone. And
Yeah.
frankly, if that's what they were going to keep in, it wouldn't have worked as well. I mean, like, yeah, I understand cheering, like even when they said the first transport's away and everybody cheered, that's one thing, but it just wasn't the same kind of like, moving emotion to me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really honestly, I think Admiral Akbar, the character and the actor are extremely underrated.
Oh yeah.
I always thought he was a very and I know he to me, he shines in the books, like, especially the New
Oh
Jedi Order
yeah,
and
definitely.
how, just the strategy, like, just his stratagem and how everything, just I don't know. He's such an underrated character in my opinion because I know pop culture has kinda made him a joke sort of, like, "It's a trap," like, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's like Fish-Headed Man," like, it's just goofy, like, but yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the actor was fantastic. I just think the character in general is fantastic
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
very underrated.
Yeah, well, that's one. I mean, one of the many reasons. I know you agree with me on this about how Star Wars, the Disney Star Wars is garbage, but just to kill him off, like when the bridge blows out, was just so like disrespectful. I mean,
Yeah.
basically, you know, the only thing that they didn't do was like have him say it's a trap as
Yeah,
he's going out the
no.
window.
Yeah, I know. They almost.
Like,
Honestly, I was expecting that. I was sitting there just waiting, like they're just gonna do something stupid. Like I was expecting, yeah, it's a trap. Yeah, like you just said, like
yeah,
something
I mean,
silly.
like, yeah, it was just so. I mean, well, the whole movie had like really, you know, I don't like, but like, you know, like they really disrespected the character so badly. It was so
Yeah,
bad. Like,
yeah,
you know, and it's not just, you know, I mean, again, I know I'm getting older, but you know, I really feel like a lot of franchises are doing that. I mean, Star Wars,
yeah.
Star Trek, Doctor Who, all of the new stuff is such a like, I don't know, disrespect to the classic, you know, stuff that made it famous in the first place. I mean, like, you know, it just
It's intentional. It's not, it's not your age, because there's people younger than me that even that are aware of it, because it's a not, I can't think of the right term, but like it's a disassembly of it. That's a common, that was the kind of the trend in the 2010s, and it's still carrying on a little bit now,
mm,
of taking a franchise and basically like disassembling it. And
yeah,
that's not the right word, but you get what I'm
like
saying?
no, I know what you're saying, and I'm saying they should leave it
Yeah,
alone. I mean, you know, if you're gonna do that, then don't bother making it. You know, I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, they're okay. Well, I'm not gonna get into a tirade here.
yeah. I mean, I complain about Disney Star Wars, but it's kind of shooting fish in a barrel at this point. I think pretty much everybody knows it's terrible, most of it. But Yeah, it's just a disassembly, like, again, that's not the right word, but, and, even with minor characters, like, because a lot of people would consider Akbar a minor character, um, but yeah, like you were talking about in The Last Jedi, they did it with pretty much everybody. They did it with Luke. I mean, Luke was the
Oh yeah.
main person they disassembled,
Oh yeah, yeah,
they
definitely.
but, they you know about that all day long, but, and then the first movie, it was Han, I guess. With Force Awakens, it was kinda Han was the disassembly there.
Well, you know, Han, to be honest, I didn't like them killing him off, but Han, I don't. Okay, now I saw The Force Awakens because I didn't know any better at the time, and my real complaint with The Force Awakens is that it's not original. It's basically a New Hope 2.0. You know,
It
I mean,
is, yeah.
Han is the Obi-Wan character, you know, the old wise sage who gets killed. But I don't think I wasn't angry about Han in the sense that I think they did his character justice. I mean, granted, you know, having him be I don't know if you want to say divorced or at least estranged from Leia, I didn't like. You know, that he's going back to his old smuggler's ways and so forth. But you know, they did his character a lot more respect than they did Luke, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, they definitely better than Luke,
Yeah.
but,
Luke
yeah, I mean, I just that's the thing though, with Han though, even when I kinda thought like you, I was like, "Okay, it wasn't too bad," but he regresses to me. Like, to me, him going back to being a smuggler
yeah,
is a regression.
it is.
Like, I'm not trying to disagree with you, I'm just saying, like,
No, I
I
agree. I
feel
agree.
like
That's the question. Yeah, you're right.
he grew in the EU. And, like, to me, that his Force Awakens, and again, I know they cut all that out or whatever, they weren't counting any of that, but it felt like to me, like, okay, those 20, 30 years, he just regressed back into just kind of being a scumbag again and not, you know what I mean?
No, you're right. You're right because
But
on in the EU, the only time that he like really and he wasn't mad at Leia, but you know, I understand this. You know, he was you know, like when he went off at the beginning of the New Jedi Order and had his adventures with Drama the Ren, you know, he was grieving over the death of Chewbacca, and I mean, you know, he didn't. I understand the reasoning behind it. He blamed his son, you know, Anakin, Solo. I mean, and you know, obviously he didn't handle it correctly, but he realized that and came back. You know.
yeah, fair
Well,
enough.
speaking
Yeah,
of
yeah, I
that,
guess
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
you
I'm
could
sorry.
you could say he did like sort of regress a little bit in that, with the Agents of Chaos duology there a little bit. They kind of had him do that, kind of go through like a grieving process a little bit. But that was just handled so much better. I mean,
Oh
it
yeah,
was
it
like,
definitely was.
but again, James Luceno, but it's, I know I'm comparing James Luceno to like,
J.J.
new
Abrams.
Lucas, yeah, J.J. Abrams, and they're not even remotely comparable. But that's the difference in writing. That shows the quality and difference in writing there
Oh
to
yeah,
me.
yeah,
That's your proof right there.
yeah. Oh no, definitely, definitely.
So
It's a shame Meg isn't here because she could give her thoughts. She's a lot more forgiving for the Disney movies than we are. So I
Okay,
don't.
I can
So
try to invite her, I guess.
no. I know. I'm just saying. Like I wonder what she would say at this point because I mean, now she doesn't love the movies, but she doesn't hate them the way we do.
Okay. Yeah, I got that impression a little bit from her videos that she's a little more forgiving.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Hang on. I'll maybe try inviting her just for the heck of it. See what happens.
You mean now? No, I'm sure she's in bed now.
Okay.
I tried calling
Yeah,
her
just for,
before this, but again I think she might have already gone to bed. I'm not sure.
okay. I'll give it a shot here to
Yeah,
see what
sure. Hey.
happens. But
Oh, yeah.
anyway,
Sorry,
yeah,
before
no. I mean,
before
we
you
can talk
go.
about Disney Star Wars if you want to talk about it. I generally try to shy away from it a little bit
No,
because I don't.
because we basically, you know what? To be honest, there are enough YouTubers who are bashing this. I mean, rightfully so, but like, I don't want to make it negative. I mean, like, I've already bashed it myself.
Yeah, that's kind of like
There's
I'm
no,
kind of over it
yeah,
because
there's
I've
nothing more
been
to
through the.
say. You know, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing more to say that hasn't already been said for.
right.
I mean, we're going on almost a decade here, right? I mean, oh yeah, wow, yeah. I guess Force Awakens will be out a decade here in a few months. So
Mm.
crazy to believe that,
Yeah.
but
Well, to be honest, to me, it's almost crazy to believe that the last Well, in fact, you know what? I just found. I'm actually going to be moving soon, so I've been like sorting things, and I found my old high school yearbook from 1992. And
wow,
it's hard for me to believe that it was 33 years ago when that happened. You know, I'm looking at things
wow,
like, wow, that was 33 years ago. And again, even going back to something like the Dark Force Rising, you know, the Heir to the Empire books, or so forth, things of that nature. It's hard for me to believe how long ago it was. I think I told you this before, Austin. But you see, for me, a lot of times with books, my memory goes back to what I was doing at the time. So like no, it wasn't you. I was talking to someone on about Animorphs years just recently about that because when I first the Animorph series.
you're right, Animorphs.
Right. Yeah. Well, I did, and I wasn't the target audience for that. I mean, like in '96, I was already in my 20s, so I was not the target audience for it. But I ran into it.
They're good. I've heard they're good.
Oh,
I
yeah.
need.
No, they are. They are. I actually just I had the whole collection. I just sold it on eBay like maybe a month ago. Like I said, I'm moving, so I'm getting rid of some stuff. But I had the whole collection. But the point is that I ran into my first Animorph book in 1996 because I was at a friend's house. I was staying over at a friend's house who was hundreds of miles away from me. So it was a big road trip where I stayed over his house for a week, and he lived like at the beach. So my remembrances of the series is my first encounter with it when I was like staying with a friend I hadn't seen. I mean, I hadn't, I got a chance to stay with him for days where we did a whole bunch of cool stuff, not just beach stuff, but just stuff like because I hadn't seen him in a while. We just hung out. And the whole road trip, the whole vacation, that's what my impression of Animorphs is. And even with like the Bobbsey twins as an example, I was first exposed to them in 1980 because my brother bought me a Bobbsey twin book where they happened to be going to Bermuda on vacation. And I was going to Bermuda in 1980. Like I read it on the plane to Bermuda. So those kind of things always stick with me. So again, even with the Star Wars books, I remember Heir to the Empire because I was staying with my brother for I stayed with him for a few days in 1991. He was already married, and I stayed over his house for a few days, and I don't know, him and his sister-in-law, I'm not gonna get into that, but they were doing stuff I wasn't really interested in. So I just read Heir to the Empire while I was over his house.
Yeah.
And so my memory of it is the excitement of staying with him, even though I really didn't do anything. I didn't do stuff with him. I was reading a book, but again, that's my impression. You know what I mean? So like to me, it's
Yeah.
like, wow, that was 30 something years ago. I can't believe that.
Yeah, and there's something about that because I was reading an article that was talking about something like that about how I think it was a guy reading through like a fantasy book series, and he's like, "Oh, I remember when I read this book. Yeah, I was in fourth grade, and then this book, because it was like a 30 book series. It was a really long series, and
Right.
this book I met my first girlfriend, and then this book, you kind of do that because I was kind of doing that with I mean, anytime I read any Star Wars book, I kind of do that a little bit. Yeah, I was doing that with well, when I reread Darksaber, I reread Darksaber last year or year before or something, and I was thinking about like, oh yeah, I remember going to Borders, and they're not even around anymore. I don't know if you know
Right.
Borders.
Yeah, I remember Borders.
I remember going to Borders and picking it up off the shelf, and it was summer, and my mom, and my stepdad, and he, hung out with them, and he's passed away now, so it's just like, yeah, you kind of go into that mode, It's
Yeah.
weird how books do that. I do that more with books than like even movies or anything else for some reason.
Yeah, well, for me, I do that with books because usually I associate them with other things. Movies, I'll see them in the movies. You know what I mean? Like, unless I happen to be on vacation when I go to the movie to see it, I'm usually just going
Yeah.
to the movies. But yeah, books they're definitely like that. And even going
Mhm.
back to our original topic of conversation, the Callisto trilogy. One of the reasons why I like, well, again, this isn't the only reason, but one of the Twilight. You know how I said before that I listened to the audiobook a lot more. Well, one of the times I listened to it was when I was with my good friends on a road trip, Ben, Damon, and Clint. I think we were going to Washington, D.C., maybe to the Smithsonian, or maybe we were going to like the beach or something. I don't remember what we were doing, but we listened to that. And I remember especially like my friend Damon, he would make funny voices for like, because, there's one reader doing this, and he'd try to do all the character voices. So he'd also do that kind of thing, make funny voices.
I think the guy, one of our viewers here wanted to talk about Animorphs a little
Okay.
bit.
What's he say?
I only read, you're gonna probably be way more expert. I've only read one book, and it was the one, I don't remember which specific one. It was the kid that could turn into a red-tailed hawk. It was his
Yeah.
origin story or whatever. That's the
Was
only
it,
one I ever read. So
Yeah, well, the books were it's hard. I mean, like I said, I was already an adult. I don't know if I would have been allowed to read it as a kid because they're pretty dark. I mean, for kids especially. Um, you know,
yeah,
um oh, he says it was dark. What's that? Autofocus compared to autofocus.
it's a swear. He's saying dark, and then, but he's just saying it's really dark,
Oh, okay.
basically.
Sorry, I'm a photographer. That's when I see AF, that's what means
I can
autofocus.
see that. Yeah.
But
Anyway, yeah, he was just talking about how how dark it is, and
yeah, oh yeah, it wasn't dark.
um
Serious. I mean, like it wasn't
yeah,
just
isn't
like
it like isn't it like I only tertiary know much about. I know isn't it like there's two alien factions that are fighting or
yeah.
something, and
There
then
are
the
two
one.
aliens. Right. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
go
Go ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Oh, yeah. Okay, so there are two alien factions that are fighting. It turns out, okay, so K.A. Applegate, the writer, and her husband Michael Grant, they got the idea. A lot of their ideas came from Star Trek, actually, they admitted. And you remember? I don't know. Are you a Star Trek fan? I don't know if we talked about that.
I am, yeah.
Okay, so you know the Wrath
Actually,
of
you
Khan.
know what? Hang on. What's funny? My wife is the Trekkie. My wife got me into Star Trek. I
Oh,
was never that big into Star Trek. I was just Star Wars. I was one of those guys who was like I felt like I had to pick a camp. Like I got to either like Star Wars or like Star Trek, and I went okay Star Wars.
well,
So
Star Wars, Star
she
Trek, and
good.
Godzilla were all big favorites of mine. Um,
Yeah.
Godzilla, they would play that. They would show the movie, the old '60s movies, and we're talking the early '80s at my local movie theater. They would show it um, on Saturday afternoons in the theater. And with Star Trek, we used to watch the Next Generation. Like all my friends, we would round robin over each other's houses, so I wouldn't annoy our parents by going over each other's house the whole time. So like one week we'd be over my house, where there's like five or six of us over my house. The next week we'd go over another friend's house, and we'd watch the Star Trek Next Generation shows as they came out. And a lot of times we would have an overnighter. There was one girl, so she always had to go home, but the rest of us we would kind of have a big sleepover. So we'd watch a Star Trek Next Generation. But anyway, I'm
That's
sorry.
fun.
Going back to Animorphs, the Wrath of Khan, that creature that was put in the ear of Chekhov and the
Yeah.
captain and made them brainwashed. Okay, that's where she got the idea of the Yerks. The Yerks are like worms, basically, and they would go into a creature's ear and take over their mind. And so the
Okay.
Andalites are these kind of like they look like they're about the size of deer, but they have like a head. I mean their head.
Yeah, they're
Um,
blue. I've seen.
yeah,
I
they're
remember seeing like displays of it. I remember when I was a kid, because it was big when I was a kid. I remember
yeah.
seeing the yeah the blue centaur looking guy.
Sorry, not to change the subject, but yeah, going back to the Lonely Spaceman, yes, I do remember that the Howler book. That was actually one of my favorites, to be honest. And again, this shows how nuanced it was because the Howlers are okay. So the Howlers were the ones who were Kryax creatures, but the creatures who they went the planet they were on, they had the same kind of like relationship as Yerks do, but they was at more of a symbiotic relationship, and it showed that the Yerks could go a better way, and that's why Quark wanted to destroy them so that the Yerks didn't find it out. I remember that book, and again, we're talking 20 years ago since I read these books, so But I do remember the book you're talking about exactly. Yeah, the Elemis and Kryak. They had a 5v5 brawl. I remember that exactly. But going back to the whole main story, though, yeah. So the Andalites, they were blue. They looked like deers. They had antenna, and they had a scorpion's tail, and they had the morphing power. Okay, so the long and short of it is the Andalites were like basically like the most advanced technologically civilization, and they landed on the Yerkes planet in what would be the 1960s. And Zero, who befriended the Yerkes because the Yerkes had already taken over the Geds, which are like an animal on their planet. So they were able to talk and stuff using the Geds. They were inside the Geds, but because they weren't really sentient, no one had a problem with that. But Zero showed the Yerkes like technology and all this other stuff, and so the Yerkes kind of they overpowered the few Andalites that were there, and they stole a couple spaceships, and that's when they built their empire because they were able to reverse technology, learn how to build ships, and they started taking over our planets. And so the Andalites were trying to like contain them and fight them, but because the Yerkes are so more numerous and so forth, it was a very big struggle. And so when they found Earth, the Yeerks had already taken over a few species like the Hork-Bajir and the Taxons, but Earth especially had so many hosts. There are billions of humans, and they realized that if they could take over Earth, they would be able to win the war. So that's why it's a big point, Earth. And so the beginning, this all happened before book one, but the beginning of book one, the Andalites send one of their big cruisers to like fight the Yeerks in Earth orbit. But it turns out that the Yeerks had already had a foothold on the Earth. And not only did they have their pool ship, which is basically like in Star Trek terminology, kind of like the Enterprise, the Yeerks also had a blade ship, which is in Star Trek technology like the Defiant, which is a much more powerful, smaller ship, but a much more powerful ship. So like the Andalites weren't expecting that, so they got shot down. And only Elfangor is the only one who escaped in a fighter, and he's severely wounded. He crash lands on the Earth, and he finds these 5 kids, and he gives them the morphing ability before he dies. So he explains to them what's going on because, again, the whole takeover is being done surreptitiously. So like no one knows that the Earth has already been invaded. I mean, humans don't know that. The humans that are taken over, they know that because they're taken over, but free humans don't know that. And there's only a few humans taken over in this town, basically. So like the Yeerks, I mean the Animorphs, the 5 humans are fighting the Yeerks on the planet, and kind of not a cold war, but in a secret war. Like they're not fighting like in the open where everyone sees it. And they're
Yeah.
turning animals, and of course, because they don't want to be found out, the Yeerks think that there are a few Andalites who had escaped on that big ship, and they're fighting a guerrilla war. They don't realize that it's human kids fighting. And Elfangor's little brother happens to be he's on the I can explain this. The Andalite cruiser has this big grazing area that's like kind of like, imagine like the saucer section and the battle bridge separating it from the Enterprise, but like the saucer section only has this big grazing area, and that crash lands in the ocean. So like in the very early in the series, they find Elfangor's brother Axe, who's a cadet who's basically about their age. He's an Andalite, but he's a kid. And so Axe and the 5 human Andalites fight the Yeerks throughout the books. But the dark part of it is that it's not just like good versus evil. The Andalites are good, the Yeerks are bad. You find out that there's so much like there's a lot of things going on with the Andalites as far as their whole civilization that's kind of shady. But then a few Andalites themselves are not really living to the code, so they're shady. Oh, and I should mention too that the main Yeerk who's attacking Earth, his host is the only Andalite who is captured. Wizard 3 has an Andalite host. So like he's not in the human. The worm isn't in the human. It's in an Andalite. That's the only Andalite that's been captured. So Wizard 3 also has the morphing ability. But like I said, the whole thing about the Andalites having like kind of gray areas, and even with the Yeerks, they're not, like originally, it was thought, oh, all the Yeerks are evil, but it turns out that a bunch of them aren't. There's a 5th column. There are some that don't want to, harm people, but they do want to, they're just living as worms, and they want to be able to like have technology. And so again, this is why that whole Howard book was important, because of Kryak not wanting the Yeerks to find this out. Kryak is it's hard to explain this. Imagine, Q from Star Trek. Well, there's the Elemist and there's Triac, and they're one's good, one's not, and they both have like Q powers. You know, they're much more advanced than like the Analytes or
Yeah,
anything else.
they're omniscient, kind of, sort of.
Well, I wouldn't call them omniscient. They're not omniscient, but they're just a lot more they're a lot more
Hyper
advanced
advanced,
than,
basically.
yeah, right. They're not
Okay.
omniscient, you know, but they're not they're much more advanced than humans are.
Well, yeah, no, I'm gonna have to read those.
Yeah. I didn't see
They
that. The Lonely
good.
Spaceman said like the Hork-Bajir. What's like the Hork-Bajir? I didn't catch that. Children mentally, if I remember right, like the Hork-Bajir. Oh yeah, the Hork-Bajir are mentally. They're not children. They're just their IQ is very low. So the Hork-Bajir, they're a race that they have as a basically like imagine a race that the entire race has an IQ of 70. And once a generation, there's a Hork-Bajir born that has an IQ of like 150. And that's actually even with them, they're that race came to be because they were genetically altered. They were genetically built by this ancient race who wanted the Hork-Bajir to be basically like animals, and that's why they actually made them, like that.
Trying to think of what would the Star Wars equivalent be of them, you think?
The Gamorreans,
Yeah. So say again.
the Gamorreans, the pig
The
guys.
Gamorreans, yeah.
Yeah, you think about Piggy, the X-wing
Oh
pilot.
yeah, Piggy, yeah.
Right, and he's supposed to be so much like like Gamorreans. They can't like pilot ships because they don't have the intelligence to. So I think
Yeah.
yeah, but again with the Gamorreans, that's just the way they are. The Hork-Bajir actually were genetically altered. Well, not altered. They were genetically made to be that way. So no,
Yeah.
that's a long story.
They're
Yeah, there's a lot
engineered,
of
yeah.
cool concepts with the Animorphs because even things like they go back to the time of the dinosaurs, and it turns out that there were two alien races fighting during that time, and the reason why the meteor came is because the one alien race that beat the other alien race, they diverted the meteor to land. Oh, they were on the Earth, the good alien race. They diverted the meteor to crash land on their base, which actually killed all the dinosaurs too.
My
And it also
goodness.
turns out that broccoli, broccoli, it's actually trees that were transplanted by the good alien race. They're actually alien trees. And, yeah, there's a lot of like
That's wild.
yeah, there's a
That
lot of
that
stuff.
sounds like just that author just went nut just sat down and just wrote out a bunch of like crazy ideas and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
kind of
it,
tried.
it
I
was
mean, in
pretty
a good
cool.
way, like just kind of okay, I'm gonna take this, and this, and just try to pack this all in, and
Yeah, it's
that's
funny though
wild.
about that. When it comes down to like books like that, you wouldn't believe this. I haven't read those books in 25 years. Like I if I read a book that I like, it sticks with me. I remember
Yeah,
because I was talking to my mother about that. She didn't believe me because we used to watch the Jeremy Brett Sherlock Holmes years ago, and I downloaded them just pretty recently, and I was like quoting what he said, and he was like, "How did you know that?" And I'm like, "We saw it," and she's like, "I was 40 years ago," and I'm like, I remember,"
yeah. No, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, there's books I read. It's if it really sticks with you, it sticks with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
The only
sure.
problem
Like
I
Dark.
have sometimes is that sometimes I remember the plot, but I can't remember the title of the book. Like that happened.
Mhm.
There was a book I was looking for
Yeah,
years, and I finally found it because I couldn't remember what it was called, the author's name.
yeah, yeah. I had that with Martian Chronicles. I remember the
Oh yeah,
plot, but I couldn't remember the title for some reason. I'm like, I remember this book about Martians, and like it was so good. And oops, I think something happened here.
your video's off.
Hang on.
Okay,
Can you hear me still?
I can hear you. Yeah, your video's off though.
Hopefully.
I can't hear you at all now. Can't hear you.
Hang on.
Okay,
You can still hear me, right?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what's going on. Hang on. Wait. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
I don't know what happened there.
Lonely Spaceman had a few things to say though. I didn't really catch that. We were talking.
Okay, he was talking about just like a disc, just hanging out and talking about Animorphs. I'll
Oh
read them. I'll start.
yeah,
I'll start reading them.
yeah. I would love to hang out with you, Lonely Spaceman. Like I said, Animorphs wasn't actually even one of my big real things, but I do remember them. I remember them pretty well. how was I meant? They considered that deathmatch a fun game in the. Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Well, the Howlers, they were kind of like children in the sense that they didn't know right from wrong. Um, they were just told by Kryak to kill, and they were doing that, not realizing, not real. They weren't evil. They were just, like to them, it was like, you tell a bunch of kids, collect baseball cards, whatever. You know what I mean? Like they weren't doing it in a malicious, evil way, and that's how they were able to defeat the Howlers, because rather than just killing them, they made them so that rather than killing, they would kiss. So like they had all of these like spaceships and stuff. They were going to different planets and destroying them, but rather than doing that, the Animorphs created like basically reprogram them so that they would land on these planets and just kiss everybody. So rather than like wiping out the race, they just kind of diverted their intentions. And then Kryak killed them because they were no good for them anymore. Yeah, remember the kids they recruited to grow their forces? Yes, I do remember that when we spaceman. Now they all got killed. What happened was okay, so for the longest time, Austin, the five humans, they were by themselves. At one point, they recruited one more human boy who was whose parents got killed, but he became a psychopath, and they realized that was a bad idea. But anyway, because they was in such a surreptitious war, they no one knew who they were. Well, towards the end of the books, the morphing cube is acquired by the Yeerks, and so a bunch of them start morphing. So in order to get their forces back up, the Animorphs have to get people too, and they realize that because the Yeerks they want to infest people, they want to infest healthy hosts. They realize that if they go to a children's hospital where kids are they're not healthy, they can those haven't been infested because the Yeerks don't want them. So they do that, and they prove to those children that they're what they're saying is true. So they recruit a bunch of kids, and with a lot of the kids, they're healed, because basically the morphing ability when they're done morphing, their DNA goes back to like default. So like let's say if someone broke a leg, let's say, or they had an accident, okay, they would be healed by the morphing cube. Now if someone has a genetic disease, like let's say they have cancer or whatever, then they won't be healed because the default is the cancer, if you follow what I'm saying.
Oh.
Right. So anyway, so like they get all these kids to help them, maybe a dozen kids. And Jake at this point, he has to make a lot of hard decisions. And Jake is the leader of the Animorphs. He's a kid too, and he basically uses them as cannon fodder to like attack the Yeerks, where they'll be penetrating into kids, and all of those kids get killed horrifically.
Man.
So yeah, you're right.
It's a little violent
Yeah,
sometimes,
it
isn't
is.
it?
It is. That's why I said it's a dark, violent thing. I mean, it was a kid's. I mean, now when I say they get killed horrifically, they don't describe the blood and guts, but yeah, there's a lot of death in it for a kid's series. What form did they trap that Philo kid into? They trapped him as a rat when we spaceman. He was a rat stuck on this like pier island until this one book where Krylak released him kind of, and he comes back kind of, but he's still trapped as a rat.
Did you read Goosebumps, Sean? Or
No,
not?
no,
No? Okay.
no. I don't read books that have like paranormal aspects to them. Yeah,
Okay.
Animorphs. There's nothing like of a paranormal in it. I mean, it's science fiction, but it's not like it's all technology. It isn't like they have these mystical powers or whatever.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of like YA stuff from around that time that you might have read, that I
Well,
read.
once again, though, to be honest, like I said, I read Animorphs, but that isn't even my time. Goosebumps and Animorphs I was already an adult when they came out. Why YA stuff for me would have been like McQuirk, Trixie Belden, the Three Investigators, the 70s and 80s. Like this was
Yeah.
in the 90s. The Animorphs was just something I ran into that I liked, so I did read it, but
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
it
Yeah.
wasn't the target audience by any means.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Like
happens. I mean, there's
too, it was so dark that I wouldn't have been. I mean, if I was a target audience, like if I was a kid in the 90s, I probably wouldn't have read it because I don't think I would have been allowed to. I mean, like it was pretty dark and for a kid.
yeah. Yeah, I need to man, yeah, I'll have to read those.
Yeah,
I wish
Rangers.
I had read them as a kid because I'd have been like I said, I read that one. I think my school didn't my library didn't have a lot of them for some reason. Maybe
Right.
because everybody checked them out constantly or
Yeah.
something,
Well,
but
once again, this is what I was saying about me being an adult. Like I bought each one when they came out because like
Yeah, you just
I had
bought them. So yeah, and that's part of it. When you're a kid, you're just kind of stuck with, whatever your library has or whatever.
right, right.
I think he's
I
talking
don't know
about
what Ranger's
Rangers.
Apprentice is.
Yeah,
Lonely Spaceman. I don't know what that is. The Ranger's Apprentice.
I've heard of it. It's a kids like fantasy series.
Uh, when did that come out?
I want to say late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, yeah, I would have been already. Again, I do read some kid stuff even now. Like one of the 2000 series that I really like is Sammy Keys. That's she's kind of like a detective, kind of like Nancy Drew, but not but I don't know, more modern than that. And that
Yeah.
was like a turn of the century book series, like 2000. And in 2000, I was already 25, so you know. But yeah, most of the stuff I was reading was I mean, I don't know. I guess it's matters of each. Now, one thing. Oh, I want to mention this too. Lonely Spaceman. You probably don't know this. Again, this is before your time, but I'm always mentioning as the hidden gems to Austin. The Tripod series from the it was a book series from the '60s. In the early '80s, the BBC made a TV show of it. They made a TV show of the first two books in the trilogy, and then didn't make the third. But that's a really good series that I really encourage everyone to read or watch a show. Oh, and another show, which is a young adult show. Again, in Canada, we had more, think more international things. I don't know if they aired in the States, but the Spellbinder TV show, there were two seasons of that. That was a kids TV show in the '90s, and that came from Australia.
That
Um,
sounds familiar.
okay, so
That sounds
Spellbinder
vaguely familiar.
okay, it's not mystical. I know it's called Spellbinder, but basically it's alternate dimensions. Well, so the first series has this boy named Paul, and he's an Australian kid, and he is on this like field trip to this like to this rural area, this to the woods, and there's a cave, and he and his friend make this like electrical thing to like try to scare the girls who were on this trip, and they accidentally open a portal to another dimension, and he falls in the portal, and in that dimension, it's basically like the Middle Ages. So he knows a bunch. It's like Connecticut Yankee King of his court. You know that, like Mark Twain. He knows
Yeah.
like modern
Yeah, I've
stuff,
read that. Yeah.
right? So, but the difference is though most of the people are living like it's the Middle Ages, but the spellbinders, there's this elite group. They live in this big castle, and they have technology. It's all like of electromagnetic kind of technology. The thing is, they don't understand it because centuries ago, or years ago at least, there was this big catastrophe. Oh, yeah, that's it. How did you
Yep.
find that?
I just Googled it and
Wow.
just saved the picture.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. There's
That it looks they might have reran that in the States because that looks vaguely familiar to me.
Yeah, well, Paul's actually wearing the Spellbinder suit because again, they don't understand it because there was this big catastrophe. So they don't. So even the Spellbinders don't understand their technology, and their technology is falling apart. But they're kind of like elite because they're telling the common people that they're Spellbinders and they have all this mystical like they're superior, and so people just like they don't really worship them in the sense of like worshiping them, but they give them like what do you call that tribute. They give them food, they feed them, they do kind of, I mean, they're all elite, like when the spellbinders are going by on a horse, everyone stops and like bows, because they do worship them. But anyway, most of the spellbinders are kind of ambivalent, and a few of them are even good, but like the one Ashka, the main spellbinder, is the antagonist. She is bad, and at the time Paul has no idea what's going on. He just wants to get home, but he meets up with Rihanna, who's the main girl on the left in green, and she's just a common person, as it were, and so he's telling her about all these wonderful things. That he has a Walkman, the batteries, all this stuff is like magic to her. And when the spellbinder finds this out, she pretends that she wants to help Paul get back to like his Earth, but really she wants to exploit Paul and find out all the secrets that he knows, because Paul also builds gunpowder, and like that just blows everyone's mind because they don't know anything about that.
Huh.
So anyway,
That
um
that was
you know
I know you said you don't watch R-rated movies or anything, but
no.
that was a plot point in a movie with Bruce Campbell called Army of Darkness. Because he's like he gets sent back to the medieval time period, and He's the only guy who knows how to create gunpowder. So he's just like creating gunpowder, might make it's like blowing up all the he's like blowing up walls and stuff. And anyway, it's
Right.
a
Well,
similar plot point.
yeah, Paul isn't really blowing things up. He's just he basically just wants to get home. But oh, I
Yeah,
should mention that his father's a scientist. That's why he knows this, because honestly, realistically, how many 15-year-old boys can make gun? Oh, maybe some can, but
yeah,
but I mean, like, that's why Paul knows about things. But anyway, um, Ashka just wants to take over the Spellbinders because, okay, the Spellbinders, imagine them as being Jedi Knights. Oh yeah, that's an Andalite. The
yeah. That was in the
Spellbinders,
TV show. In
yeah,
the
it's on the
TV
TV.
show, I don't know if you
Yeah,
saw that.
yeah, I actually did. That's when I first was. That was the second thing that I saw Sean Ashmore in. The guy that played Iceman in the X-Men. He was Jake.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I forgot he's in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was a Canadian show, so.
Yeah, yeah. It was every kid show was filmed in Canada back then, and a lot of shows.
Well, I mean, well,
Goosebumps
right,
was
but I
filmed in
mean, like, it
Canada.
wasn't even like well, there were some American shows filmed in Canada. This was a Canadian show that was just like born in the
Oh,
States.
okay.
But anyway, going back to the Spellbinder. So, okay, Ashka is like a regular Spellbinder. Is imagine them to be like a Jedi Knight. If you want to say that the castle is a Jedi temple, the regents are the Jedi masters in the council, and so she wants to be a regent. She wants to be the head of everything. One of the regents, okay, two of the regents are just kind of ambivalent. One of the regents is actually good, and he really does befriend Paul, and he's trying to help him get back home. Ashka actually frames this region so that he isn't taken seriously, but he's actually banished for a while, and there's a whole bunch of things going on. But anyway, um, they Paul does get back home. The Ashka gets back into Paul's world accidentally too, and because she does know, she does have the electromagnetic suit. Now, granted, if like police and the army were hunting her down, they would find her. But because she's in that world, whenever she like uses the suit, all electronics, like it's like an EC, what do you call it, like EC impulse, like a
Yeah, an EMP.
yeah,
Yeah,
EMP pulse, yes. So like it knocks out TVs and stuff like that. So the suit is kind of powerful even here. But when Paul's father like learns about the suit, because she actually pretends that she's just a this like lady who like was like in someone's will, they gave her this suit, she doesn't know anything about it, and like her like scientist father died or whatever. So like Paul's father believes that, and so he actually like does uses his computer and stuff to improve on the suit, makes it hover and fly, and a bunch of other powers the Spellbinders don't have. And so she wants to go back with that suit and take over the Spellbinders. And of course, Paul is explaining, like, no, she's a bad person, but obviously your 15-year-old son is like, yeah, I was like trapped in another world. No one's gonna believe that, So
yeah,
finally, like when they do believe it, they're able to stop Ashka, and that's how she gets stopped. Now, what happens in the second series is, okay, in the second season, unlike American TV, a lot of British TV does this too. If they make a second season, it'll be the same storyline, but a completely different cast, completely different story and stuff. So in the second season, there's this again, it's on Earth. There's a girl who's the main protagonist, and she it's called Spellbinder: Land of the Dragon Lord. If you want to look for that, Austin, you might find a picture of it. But she gets trapped in this. Well, she accidentally falls into the Spellbinder world, befriends Ashka, who's basically on a penal colony, but she doesn't realize it's a penal colony, and she brings Ashka back. I'm trying to remember how this works. The land of the Dragon Lord is another dimension as well. It's a third dimension, and that dimension has certain technologies that we don't have, like this like advanced like supercomputer, but it's kind of like a how to explain it? It has different technologies we have technologies that they don't have too, and so it's basically a dimension hopping experience. Oh, I should mention this too. So it's an Australian show. The Spellbinder dimension, I think, was in Hungary or Turkey. I forget which one it was filmed in, but all of the people were either they're from Turkey or Hungary. Let me find that out. I'm gonna look that up quick. I know it wasn't Australia. It was a foreign country in Eastern Europe. Yeah, that's the Land of the Dragon Lord, and that's the girl who was the main protagonist of that. Like I said, Ashka is back, but she's the only one back from both shows. Let me see where that was filmed. So the Dragon Lord was actually filmed in Hong Kong. So this was the show was a collaboration between Australia, Hong Kong, and the third country, which I'm trying to figure out where that was. In fact, most of the cast are from that third country. Let me see here now. Spellbinder, 1995, television series, TV series. Okay. Okay. Let me see here. Television home media. Oh yeah, it was on the Disney Channel. Oh, but they didn't show most of the second series in United States apparently, so you wouldn't know the Land of the Dragon Lord even if you know them.
Okay. It kind of vaguely sounds. Did you ever watch Highlander?
I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
Oh man, it sounds kind of vaguely like that. I know it's more. This is more sci-fi.
Oh, Polish. I'm sorry, it was Poland. I was saying it was Hungary and Turkey. It was Poland. I'm sorry. So yeah. So like the Spellbinder Land was actually filmed in Poland, and most of the actors are Polish. So like the actors in the Spellbinder Land are all Polish. Ashka is actually a famous Polish actress. I mean, I'm sorry. Ashka is the only Australian actress. Her name is Heather Mitchell. But like most of the actors in the Spellbinder Land are Polish, and even Paul, who's an Australian, the actor is from Australia, but he was born in Poland. So and again, the Dragon Lord land that was in China, that was Hong Kong, and the rest of the dimensions. I know there was a dimension, kind of like an alternate dimension, like I wouldn't say a mirror universe because it isn't like an evil. I forget the girl's name from the Land of the Dragon. Let me see if we can find that. They say the sequel here. I can't think of her name. Okay, I gotta look it up.
That sounds like the Dark Realm in Mortal Kombat. I don't know. You probably don't know Mortal Kombat.
Word spell bind. Oh, Land of the Dragon Lord. Okay.
Like the Dark Realm and Mortal Kombat's like that. It's just like almost sort of like a mirror universe, but not really.
Yeah, it's not really a mirror universe because like there, like the alternate Kathy isn't bad, and her family, they're not bad. They just have a different life. So there's that dimension. There's the Dragon Lord dimension. There's the dimension I talked about with the Spellbinders. There's our Earth. There's also a dimension where it's basically like the Renaissance times, and there are no children. Oh, everybody lives for a very, very long time, and but they can't have children, so they use these. So they built robot children. And so when Kathy goes there and they realize that she's a child and she's not a robot, they all want to adopt her and they don't want her to leave, so they try to keep her there. And then there's a dimension that's like a post-apocalyptic dimension where there are these machines that have all these machines. There's like these tanks and stuff that have weapons, and all the people are they're hiding because these machines have taken over.
I have to watch this.
Yeah. There's dimensions. I can give you. I have Hidden Gems. I can give you the shows. I have the shows.
It's on Tubi. I can stream it.
Oh, okay. There you go. You can do that then.
Yeah.
But yeah,
speaking of good.
Sorry, I was gonna say it's a good show. I really enjoy it. The Land of the Dragon Lord, I think, is a little more babyish. Not babyish, but I mean, again, all of these shows are made for kids, so there's gonna have like kid. They're not like. I mean, telling it now, it probably sounds a lot cooler if you watch it. But Land of the Dragon Lord, I think, has more. Again, I think part of it's not. I don't want to say it's immature. I think part of it is that it has to have a lot more physical humor because I imagine a lot of it's dubbed. Even with the Polish, even though the first series, the alien land is in Poland, they are speaking English. Now, in the second series in Hong Kong, they're speaking English, but I know that they dubbed it into one of the Chinese dialects, and so even the English that they're speaking,
probably Mandarin, I would assume.
Maybe, yeah. But even the English that they're speaking, the actors, I think, are just speaking English phonetically because like it's really hard to understand them. Like with the Polish people, they have an accent, but you can understand them. I could tell there was some of the non-main cast. What they're saying, I really think that they're saying phonetically, which honestly, I'm not picking on them for that. That's a very amazing feat. There's actually So okay, long story short, I told you I'm a photographer. One of the jobs that I used to do back in like 2003 was photograph Beatle tribute bands. A couple of Beatle tribute bands hired me, and the one band I watched them. I didn't photograph them, but they were in somewhere in Asia, and they called themselves the Japanese. Oh, they were in Japan. They called themselves the Japanese Beatles. It's a play on words because the Japanese beetle is an insect, but they were Japanese. They did all the Beatles songs. Now, once they became popular and they started touring in the United States and Canada and stuff, then they weren't English. But when they were singing these Beatles songs, they could not speak a word of English. They learned the songs. I mean, the lyrics phonetically, and they said them phonetically without even knowing what they were saying, which is to me
That's
amazing.
funny.
Like, you know, I can't sing in Chinese like just by learning the sounds. You know what I mean? I would sound awful.
Yeah,
They actually sounded pretty good, you know. So I
that
mean,
takes skill. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
I'm not picking on these Hong Kong actors for doing that. I'm just saying that, like, you know, I think that's
Yeah,
why a lot of the action and even the humor is more slapstick than, you know, dialogue-y, you know.
yeah, I
And
get it.
like,
Yeah, there's this movie series called Troll that did that. Troll 1 and Troll 2, and I think they did Troll 3. And it's Italian act. Most of the actors are Italian, and so they did the same thing. They just had the actors phonetically read the words in English, and then but there are there's I think one or two of the main characters is American or maybe Canadian. I'm not sure exactly, but it's kind of it makes the movie kind of silly because they're speaking normally and then everybody else is speaking like phonetically. So like
yeah,
they go into a town and buy a stick of gum and they're like, "Oh, hello, I want to buy a stick of gum," and then and then it's the Italian person trying to read it phonetically, so it doesn't
yeah.
mesh well, and people kind of make jokes about it and stuff.
Well, you know, I said I'm a huge Godzilla fan. The very first Godzilla movie was okay. It was, I mean, they were dubbed, of course, but like the first Godzilla movie, they put Raymond Burr in
Yeah,
the Western,
I've heard this
right,
with the whole
but
thing with Raymond Burr.
right,
Yeah, yeah,
but towards like the end of the '60s, Nick Adams, who's an American actor, he was in Godzilla versus Monster Zero and
yeah.
Frankenstein Conquers the World, and and in those he was speaking English and everyone else was speaking Japanese. So
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
yeah, it is. It does make it difficult. Even with now with the Gamera movies, they had a Western kid in every one of them. You know, the show era Gamera movies, but that kid did speak Japanese. You know, they were Japanese. They were people. They were you know, Caucasian people living in Japan who they hired, and they even though they were speaking in English, they could speak in Japanese also, so it wasn't as awkward. But Nick Adams didn't know a word of Japanese, and a lot of the actors of in the Godzilla films didn't know a word of English. You know, so I mean, like, it was especially too because he had to be, you know, like Godzilla versus Monster Zero, you know, he was an astronaut with his friend, and they were going to Planet X, and so many things,
Yeah.
you know, it would it
I
would
had
be really
I
awkward
had
with.
that on tape, man. I've watched that movie like a million times.
Oh, okay, you know what I mean then.
So
Yeah,
I know
you
that, I
know,
have that memorized.
right. So I mean, it was really awkward when like you realize that the two people can't talk to each other, and they're gonna act
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. The one the one that freaked me out the most was,
Smog Monster.
was it Got was Gigan.
Oh,
That
God,
one freaked me out. Like, the
yeah.
guys that turned into the, cockroaches at the end,
Yeah. See
that
now,
freaked me out.
I love insects, so like that didn't bother me at all.
That freaked me out. And then
But
the weird gorilla
Geigen,
the gorilla guy the guy that turns in weren't they like a guy that's like a gorilla or
yeah,
something?
that was Godzilla. That was Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. The aliens were like Planet of the Apes monsters.
Yeah. God, I don't know. Yeah, those
Well,
freaked me out
well,
a little bit.
Gigan was the first movie with that had a lot of blood in it because, like, in Godzilla versus Gigan, you remember because Gigan looks like a robot chicken with a chainsaw on his chest. Okay,
Yeah.
and at one part he
It's
falls.
bloody, yeah, it's
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
he
bloody.
saws into Godzilla, doesn't
Yeah,
he, at some point or
yeah,
something?
yeah, yeah. He does.
That freaked me out. I remember watching that, go, "Oh," I was, like, probably, like, 5 watching that and
Yeah.
freaking out.
No, I know. I was around that age too when I well maybe a little bit older, but I mean like I was young when I saw those movies. In fact, talking about how I said about movies and memories, well, not usually movies, like I said, but this in particular, it does have a memory because, like I said, on Saturday afternoons, we saw these. You know what? Godzilla versus Gigan was not one of the movies that would. No, I think the last movie that was shown on Saturday afternoons was Destroyable Monsters. I don't think Godzilla vs. Gigan they had the reels too. Because again, this is like in the early '80s. Godzilla vs. Gigan only came out in the West in '77. I mean, it came out in
Yeah.
'72 and it came out in '77 in the West. So this wouldn't
Hmm.
have been one of the classic movies that he had, you know. But I remember Godzilla versus the Thing simply because I was like 7 or 8, and this one girl in my congregation who was that was the girl who used to hang out with us. I kind of had a crush on her, and when you because you've seen Godzilla versus the Thing, right?
I've
Right?
seen all of them. Yeah.
Okay. So you remember like Godzilla fights the moth, the adult, and she's already old and dying, and then she like lands like and spreads a wing around the egg. Remember?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
right. Well, my friend started crying and put her head on my shoulder, and I put my arm around her. And like I said, I was 7 or 8, so like to me that was like wow, you know. I mean, okay, not that I was like enjoying her crying, but I mean like just having her arm around her was like wow, this is cool, you know what I mean?
That's
I
funny.
know that sounds bad because it's like I mean I did sympathize with her crying, I really did, but little kid,
Yeah.
what do a
Yeah.
kid?
I liked Mothra
Oh, I did too.
personally.
I like how you just ignore all that. You're like, yeah, I like Mothra. I'm gonna ignore
I
everything.
don't know. I don't know how to segue from that. So I'm just like I like Mothra. Yeah. I didn't mean anything by it. I don't know. I'm
That's
turning to my wife. That's my wife. My wife does stuff like that. Like I don't know, what were we watching? I don't know. Do you know Babylon 5? You ever watch that?
I never watch it, but I know of it. Yeah.
Oh, it's a great show. But anyway, well, I guess I won't use that. I'm trying to think of a different example, but I don't know. I can't that oh man. That would be my wife when we're watching. I don't know. She would just say like she'd say something like that. Like, oh, like something would happen to Rodan, like, oh, I like Rodan. Why is Godzilla like punching him? You know, what was it? Which one was that? The one where or that wasn't Rodan, it was Anguirus. The one
Oh
where
yeah.
he remember where yeah, where he's like starts fighting Anguirus or something.
Right. Yeah. It was it was the robot in the Godzilla suit. That's why.
Yeah, sorry, it was
Yeah.
Mechagodzilla,
Yeah.
yeah.
But no. I thought
Anyway.
you were gonna say that your wife complains to you that when he talks about emotional things, you just change the subject. That's what I thought you were gonna
Yeah,
say because
yeah,
it's like
kinda, yeah. I can't think of a good example. I'm kind of ruining my argument here, but because I can't think of a good example,
because
but
like I'm standing there going, yes, that was a real emotional experience because I had a crush on a girl and I put my arm around her and you're like, I like Martha.
I
All right,
can
I
I
want to talk
just
about it
don't
now.
know, man. Oh man. I'm a little burnt right now. That might be why. Just
It's
but
okay.
like I've just kind of had a long weekend, but anyway. Um yeah, no, I see you're lucky. I couldn't get any my that's why I married my wife because she's like the only girl I could ever get into this kind of stuff. Because any other girl I talk to, like, oh, you like Godzilla or you like Star Wars or Star Trek, like,
Well,
most women I interacted with did not, stayed away from that.
yeah.
So
Well, I mean, she was one of the guys basically. Like I said, she watched Star Trek with us. But again, this is a childhood friend. Like it's not like we weren't boyfriend or girlfriend. We were like
no, I get that. Yeah,
kid.
yeah. I don't know. I never had any female friends that were into. Heck, I didn't even have many male friends that were into a lot of things I was into. So
Mm.
I was just unlucky, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I mean, with the Godzilla films, like again, they weren't into everything I was into. Like they weren't in Doctor Who. I was a huge Doctor Who fan. I'm talking like classic Doctor Who. I was a huge Doctor Who fan. They really weren't. But like Star Wars, Star Trek, Godzilla, we were all kind of into that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
Stargate.
I only had I only had one friend who was into the EU a little bit. That was it. Everybody else I knew didn't know about the EU or really Star Trek
Can
or
I cut you
I
off for
mean they
one
knew
second?
about Star Wars.
I'm
Good.
sorry. Lonely Spaceman said something else. I don't want to. It's just I don't want to exclude him because he's typing and he's not like talking. I don't want to like just ignore him. He asked if we like Stargate. I I saw the movie and I really liked it. I never got into all the TV shows. It's not because I didn't want to. I guess I just didn't. I only had a certain amount of time, so it was basically like I was into what I was into, but I didn't want to get into any new franchises because I wouldn't have had time to like watch them. And now Stargate's made like so many series, I wouldn't, I'd have to binge watch them. It would take me a long time to do. So I saw the original Stargate movie. I didn't see that in the movies. I think we rented that one night and we all watched it together. Like my friend Mike
Yeah.
and yeah, so we all watched it
I,
together like one night.
yeah, only seen the movie, and that's another thing. Actually, my wife and her family are huge in Stargate, so that's gonna be our next watch. Is I got her to watch Babylon 5, so she's gonna make me watch Stargate. But
Yeah.
I did like the movie. I
Now
enjoyed the
Babylon
movie.
5, I for one thing, like I said, I was doing a lot of things, so I didn't get into it for that reason. But also, I like Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and a friend of mine was like, "Oh, Babylon 5 is just a ripoff of that." I mean, I'm not saying it was or wasn't. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying
There's a
it is.
story. There's a story there.
Okay.
If you're interested.
Yeah, I'm not saying it is. All I'm saying
Yeah.
is that's what I was told, and I was like, "Oh, I won't watch it then," and then I just didn't watch it. You
Yeah,
know?
and okay, that's an interesting that you bring that up because that's a common thing that a lot of people say. It's the
Okay.
complete opposite. Actually, the J. Michael Straczynski, the guy that created Babylon 5,
Right.
he wrote the script, came with the idea and everything. He took it to CBS, and this was long before Deep Space Nine. I think TNG was running.
Okay.
He took it to CBS and said, "Hey, I got this idea for this show set on a space station." And then they're like, "Nah, we're not interested." And then a year or
Suddenly
two
Star Trek.
later,
Right. Right.
Deep
No,
Space Nine came out.
I, I heard the story. That's why I said I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that's what a
Yeah,
friend of mine said.
it's no, I know. Because I thought the same thing. I thought the exact same thing. I thought, oh, it's just a knockoff of Deep Space Nine. It's the complete opposite.
Yeah. No, I heard
Not
that too.
that Deep Space Nine isn't a great show. It is. They're both great. Honestly, we're almost done with Babylon 5, and it's just as good as Deep Space Nine, if not better. I mean, they're
Right.
both great shows.
And I really like Bruce Boxleitner. I mean, like I've known him from Tron back in '82, so
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
him.
that's what I knew him from too, because I
Yeah.
watched Tron as a kid. So I was like, "Oh, well, yeah, the guy from Tron, okay."
Right. Again, another thing too about J. Michael Skrzynski, or whatever his name is. He was also a part of Space Cases, which is a children's science fiction show in the mid '90s. Again, I was already an adult, but I really liked that show, and I watched
Yeah.
both seasons of it. Especially the first season, I liked the best. But I watched both
He's
seasons
a
of
really
it.
good writer. He's written comic books. I think he's written some novels. He's written tons of things.
Yeah, I think it
So
was him.
yeah, that definitely after since like I said, I've almost finished with Babylon 5. He's a really good writer. He writes almost every episode of the show.
Yeah. Well, it was him and Billy Mummy, which he was also in Babylon 5 apparently. Billy
Yeah.
Mummy was the boy in Lust in Space in the '60s. And Space Cases, actually, it's funny. There are some Star Trek Voyager episodes that remind me very much of Space Cases. Like you would think that they copied off of Space Cases because I think that came out first, but probably not. But it's just one of those things.
It's just crossover, probably writers or somebody, was involved in both maybe.
Yeah. Well,
Because
even you know what,
good.
even without that, I mean, like when it comes down to science fiction, there's been so much science fiction around that, like, basically almost everything's going to remind you of something else. I mean, like
Yeah.
like like there's no real new. I mean, I shouldn't say there's no new thing, but I mean, like, there's so many like avenues of science fiction that have been tread on so much that it's going to be like, oh yeah, that
Yeah.
reminds me of this. Although I will say this, what's his face, M Night Shyamalan. Here's something a lot of people don't know. You know The Village, the movie? Okay,
Mhm.
that's a straight off copy of a children's book called Running Out of Time from the early '90s. To the point where the author of that book sued M Night Shyamalan, the movie, and actually made like they came to an undisclosed settlement where she got money. So apparently, it wasn't just like a bogus thing. I remember
Yeah.
like that came out and going, oh, this is running out of time. I mean, the thing is, it was before the internet, or when the internet was very much in its infancy, and Running Out of Time was never a really popular book. It wasn't like a children's book that's really popular, like well, I don't read this book, but I'm just using it as an example, Harry Potter or whatever, where everyone knows what it is, or the Hunger Games. It was something where no one really read it, so like I did, and I knew what it was, but like not many people did. And again, I guess I do like some children's books because even that came out, I want to say in like '94, '95, and I was already in my late teens. But I
Yeah.
mean, like. but the whole premise is very much the same.
Yeah,
Even
there's tons of old sci-fi because I read a lot of older sci-fi sometimes. I've been reading a lot of older sci-fi and
then read.
Avatar.
I'm
Good.
sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say you know Avatar, the James Cameron movie.
I haven't seen the whole thing, but I know of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically a ripoff of a book Alan Dean Foster wrote. You know Alan Dean Foster,
Oh yeah,
obviously.
definitely. Yeah.
Called Midworld. It's a book it's called Midworld by Alan Dean Foster.
Okay.
It's like uncannily similar. And there's some differences, but it clearly James Cameron clearly read the book because it's very similar.
Well,
I think even
if you're reading
good.
old sci-fi, then how come you haven't read the tripods yet?
I need to. I gotta get a copy of it. I got so many books, man.
Yeah.
I'll have to pan over and like I have this whole closet is full of books. I'll get it. Don't worry. I'll get to it.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a trilogy and then there's a prequel.
Okay.
So the prequel came out in the late '80s after the TV show came out, but the trilogy came out in the late '60s.
Okay.
Oh, thanks a lot, Brian Thompson.
Yeah. Thanks, Brian.
Do you or who was the guy who was before that? Was making a lot of comments.
Lonely
Oh, Lonely
Spaceman.
Spaceman. Have you guys read the tripods? Oh, Kurt Russell isn't the lead in the show though, and Daniel is a different actor. Richard Dean Anderson is old Neil. Yeah, I knew it was different actors for the TV show of Stargate. I don't think any of the actors came back because I think James Spader was the scientist guy, and he didn't
Yeah.
come back. I know.
James Spader is yeah. Daniel.
Was that Daniel? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he's talking about Bounty Hunter Wars or Tales of the Bounty Hunters because I put that out the other day.
What do you think of the Bounty Hunter Wars? Speaking of the Bounty Hunter Wars,
I did do the Bounty Hunter Wars. Yeah.
now, what I'm saying, what do you think of the book, the trilogy?
I like them overall.
I like the concept, but for some reason, that's a book, and also even the audiobook, and it's not the reader, but the audiobook and even reading the book, I fall asleep after a few chapters. It's just not, I don't know, it's just not it doesn't have that pep that the Star Wars books have. I mean, like I read it, I'm just like nodding off, and I'm like, I don't know why.
They're not my favorite or anything. I mean, they're like middle of the road. I
Yeah,
wouldn't say
I
they're
don't hate them. I just find them kind of
yeah.
boring, kind of slow, you know?
I'm probably a little bit more positive about them than most people because I like they're more kind of cyberpunky, kind of like weird because the guy that writes them is a cyberpunk writer, so
Oh,
he's kind of a little bit of an oddball. His writing style, it doesn't jive with most people. I can understand why most people don't like it,
oh, cyberpunk.
but
I'm thinking of steampunk. I don't think I know what cyberpunk is.
cyberpunk is like trying to think. Do you know the Matrix?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
Okay. It's like techno, it's the techie version of steampunk, basically, because you know what
Okay.
steampunk is.
Yeah, I know steampunk is.
Yeah, it's more techie, tech focused. He writes about the tech a lot.
Okay. Well, I like
I
books
don't
about
mind that.
tech. I don't remember a lot of tech in the Bounty Hunter Wars, to be honest.
Not a ton, but in the first one, there's that guy that's like part gun, part he's like isn't he's
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
techno-y sort of
yeah,
that weird gun guy.
yeah. Hey, if you do like steampunk, the Matt Cruz trilogy, Airborne, Sky Climber, and Starcatcher, they are very good. I have the
Okay.
full cast audio versions. That I listen to. I'm actually listening to Skybreaker now, with a bunch of other things. They're a really good series. It's kind of turn of the century or 1900 turn of the century. I mean to say, it's not. They don't give a year, but it's like 19 teens or something of that, like maybe Edwardian times, and but it's of course it's an alternate universe in the sense that there's no the flying ships are kind of like blimps. Oh, the spider-like villain. Yeah, you mean Kadam Mubat? Uh, has too much dialogue. I actually like Tony. You know what? Kadam Mubat, the assembler, the
He's
spider guy.
similar, yeah.
Yeah, I like him better than anyone else in
I like him. Yeah. He's
trilogy.
actually probably my favorite character in that whole
Yeah,
thing,
mine
honestly.
too. Mine too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I said, I like insects and arachnids too. But not only that, I actually find them to be. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like I was really looking forward to like learning about Boba Fett, and he's like the like most boring thing in the book, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem the book has is Boba Fett's just kind of boring.
Yeah,
Like everybody else is more interesting than him, pretty much.
yeah, I mean, I like the spider guy, and I like Dengar. You know, I like learning about
Yeah.
Dengar.
Dengar's great.
Yeah, and even
Actually, Dengar's great in pretty much everything in the EU, honestly.
Mhm. And even Zuckuss, who was in there too.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a fun fact. Do you know in The Empire Strikes Back, Zuckuss? Oh wait, never read the tri. Oh, sorry, never
Sorry,
read
sorry.
the tripod series, but from what I googled, it seems like it was heavily influenced by War of the Worlds premise, if not the book itself. Well, the only thing that War of the Worlds influenced the tripods in is the fact that or the machines, they are tripods just like War of the World, but the whole premise is totally different. Like in the War of the Worlds, I'm talking about the 1898 book, not the TV shows. In the War of the Worlds, the Martians land and they're in those tripods and they just like destroy mankind. In the tripod series, they're not destroying mankind. What they're doing, they like capped mankind. They're all brainwashed, and humans are just brainwashed. They're thrown back hundreds of years into like a pre-industrial age, and they worship the tripods, and the tripods are the overlords. The tripods are actually aliens in the machines, but they don't know. The humans don't even know that. They just worship the tripods. So the actual like design of the tripods themselves are influenced by War of the Worlds, but nothing else is. Okay, it's kind of like V and Independence Day. Again, I know a lot of people aren't my age, but Independence Day came out in '96, and those city-size ships, okay, they were influenced from V, which is a show from the early '80s,
Yeah.
a TV show.
I've been wanting to watch V. I've heard really good things about
Right,
it.
yeah, it's a great show. But the only influence is the fact that these huge flying saucer city-like ships. But the whole premise is different. Like in the Independence Day, those city ships just like destroy all of the cities. In V, the visitors land and they pretend to be humanity's friend, but they're lizards in human suits. No, spoiler. But they're
Yeah. No, I kind of knew that. Yeah.
right, right, okay. So but like besides the actual tech, the whole story is different. And before that, what were we talking about? Sorry.
Let's see. I think we were talking about the Bounty Hunter Wars, I think.
Oh, right. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, right. Dengar was cool. Oh, Zuckuss. That's what I was talking about. Zuckuss. Here's a fun fact. In the Empire Strikes Back, I know Zuckuss only has like a 2-second cameo in the show in it. Like where all the bounty hunters are lined up. Zuckuss is played by a teenage girl. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, basically, George Lucas didn't want to use an old midget, but like Zuckuss is a lot smaller than everybody else, and it's a teenage girl. It's like a girl. She was like 12 or 13.
Wow. I
Hello.
didn't know that.
Yep. Yeah. In fact, let me see if I can Google that and find out the. I mean, I do know that, but I want to see what she looks like. I don't know that actually. Um, let's see.
I can pull it up and add it to the stream here.
Oh
Hang
yeah, go
on.
ahead. Yeah, by all means.
I'll do that.
Zuckuss.
Oh, she goes to the conventions apparently.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Let's
I mean, like
see
to be
here.
honest, like all these people, I'm not being smart, but they were all kind of like little bit actors, and like they have a cameo in the Star Wars trilogy, and they're like famous. I don't blame her. Yeah, Kathy Monroe.
Yeah, I can't get her in the actual suit at the time. I'm just getting her now.
What?
Let's see. Yeah, wasn't IG-88 just he was just a prop, right?
I think so. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure IG-88 was just a prop. I don't think there was like anybody in a suit or anything.
Oh, IG-88 was that the wait. Oh, IG-88. I'm thinking of the medical droid that gave Luke his hand back.
Yeah, I'm talking about in that scene that
Right. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about IG-88. The medical droid was definitely a prop. Q1B or something like that. I forget his name. But yeah, Kathy Monroe. It doesn't give her date of birth, but like I said, I'm pretty sure she was 12 or 13. Well, even if you look at her here, this is 40 something years later, and she looks like she's my age. So, she's older than
yeah.
me, but she's not that much older.
Yeah, here, I'll pull it up, but I can't get her in the actual suit at the time.
Oh, that's what you
I
were
guess
saying.
there's probably no pictures of her at the time. Yeah.
I don't, probably not.
I don't think there is. There's just her. I mean, her in the suit, but not like with the helmet off or anything.
Right, right, right. Oh, here we go. Born in 1959. So she was oh, no, actually. Yeah, oh, there she is. There you go. There you go.
That's her now, obviously.
1969. I'm sorry. Wait, no, that's not right. Oh, that's somebody else. Okay, never mind. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at my screen. Yeah, right, right. That's her. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, there was a puppeteer. Yeah, I'm pretty sure IG-88 was just a prop because it
Okay.
just says puppeteer. He did. I guess he didn't. He did move a little bit. Yeah, he like moved his head or something.
Mm-hmm. Looking for IG-88 so I can see what he looks like. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see. Well, have you watched the 70s Battlestar Galactica?
I have not. No, I need to do that still.
Okay. Well, one thing I didn't realize till very recently is that Lucifer, that's not the devil, it's a robot. But that's played by a midget. And the reason why is because, I mean, like, he was 6 feet tall, but most of the space, like the head wasn't a human head. It was all electronics to make all the lights work and stuff because it wasn't CGI. And of course,
Mhm.
70s robotics, electronics was very different as far as much more bulkier. So that's why it was played by a little person, so that all the electronics could actually fit into it, which is pretty cool. You know that. I didn't know that until much later.
Hang on, I'll get the picture of the bounty hunters here up because I'm just yeah, you can't see. I'm looking at the pictures. You can't see his feet, so I'm assuming that's where like the puppeteer was or something.
Mhm.
The puppeteer was probably hiding under there so he can move IG-88's head.
Probably.
Hang on, we got people talking here.
Oh, yeah. Kuwata
Yeah, I
Kuat
did.
was a oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Kuat was a cool character. I don't know, Kuat Kuat was kind of two-dimensional. I mean, one-dimensional to me, excuse me. I mean, kind of like just the like swarmy like economist that was trying to take over basically. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're the bounty hunters. I don't see Zuckus there. I guess you gotta go over, but because Zuckus was kind of on the opposite side of Bosk.
yeah. Here, I'll get Zuckus here.
I don't know if there's a still of her, like when Darth Vader's walking by. Oh wait, here we go. Yeah, I can see one. Um, I found one under Minions of the Empire T-Bone Star Wars universe. If you want to Google that, Austin, you can find it. But yeah, you can see how much shorter she is than everybody else.
Yeah, here you go. We got 4 Alarm and everybody else here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Yep, there you go. And Zuckus, going back to Battlestar Galactica, Zuckus looks kind of like the Ovions in the premiere episode of Battlestar Galactica. Now again, I'm talking about the '70s show, and they
Yeah.
were played by young women too. They were kind of
Yeah.
like the Ovions. They were insectoids. Can you look them up too?
Sure.
It's Ovion, Battlestar Galactica '70s.
Oh yeah, they do look pretty. They do look similar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing is, it's funny because like George Lucas sued Galactica, and I mean for well, not for the Ovions, but like that came out before The Empire Strikes Back. Like Galactica came out in '78, so it's funny that like he sues them and then uses uses them in a lot of ways for Empire Strikes Back, which I find funny. Can you show that?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up here. Hang
Okay,
on.
cool. Yeah, there you go. They were played by young women. Now that was more horrific because, like, well, again, I don't know if you know much about Battlestar Galactica, but like humanity's kind of really on the back foot. But the Ovions eat humans. They fatten them up and eat them. they feed them to their young in what was like a wasp nest.
Wow. That
Again,
sounds pretty terrifying.
yeah, this is 70s TV, so it's nothing graphic, but still.
Okay. As a kid, that probably would have freaked me out as a kid, though.
Yeah,
I didn't
again,
have a huge bug phobia, but I don't know, some things with bugs bother me. Some do, some don't.
it's actually funny because I could take a lot when it comes down to insects because I like insects. I always have. I hate, like, I don't know, insects eating people wouldn't bother me as much as, like, well, okay, let me tell you how weird I am. Even now, I have no problem with insects. I hate cats and dogs. And I don't mean like I hate dogs as in like I'm scared they're going to bite me. I mean, like, I think that they're a little dirty and I don't want them touching me. You know, the way
I
people
can
feel about
understand
like,
that, yeah.
want touching me, that's how I feel about cats and dogs. I'm very strange with that.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Although, while we're talking,
My mom's kind of like that a little bit.
okay,
She
well,
doesn't really like. She's not a big pet person. She doesn't really like pets.
okay, I get you.
So
Is there any word from our viewers? I don't want to ignore them.
let's see here. Well, this guy was talking about Andor, and we don't because we don't watch Disney Star Wars. That's Disney Star Wars. Sorry. That's I always have to say sorry, guys. I don't know it. IG-72. That's one of the other IG units.
Hmm,
I
I don't
don't. I'm
know.
trying to remember. I know there's a bunch of other IGs. Because
Yeah, I'm not.
didn't IG-88 make a bunch of copies of himself or something?
I don't know. Sorry.
Okay.
That wasn't.
I know he made a bunch of copies of
Or
himself.
if it was, I don't remember it. That wasn't in the main EU books, I don't think.
Let's see here. I can go to the wiki real quick here.
Okay.
He was in, yeah, that was in Tales of the Bounty Hunters. That was one of his copies.
Oh, you know what? I actually never read Tales of the Bounty Hunters. I read the Bounty Hunter Wars. The
Okay.
Tales
Wow,
of
you need to read that.
that's an anthology, right?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Kevin J. Anderson, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not because I didn't like it. Again, I did a lot more audiobook listening and then reading books, and they never made audiobooks for that. So, like, it was
Oh,
only
well,
recently that I well, not recently, like recently, but like maybe in the last 10 years that I read Tales of the Rebel Alliance, Tales of the Empire, and Tales of the Mos Eisley Cantina. Because again, they didn't make audiobooks of them. They made audiobooks of a couple stories in them. Like they made We Don't Do Weddings, Night Lily, and they made Hammer Tongue. But the rest of them I hadn't read because they didn't make an audiobook of them.
well, I made it. I have one if you want to listen to it for
Sure.
Tales of the Bounty Hunters.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
It's on my page. So if you're interested.
Yeah, I am. I'll download that later. Warren Green was a wonderful. Oh yeah, I like one. Yeah, Warren Green was great. In fact, it's funny, but now again, okay. Let me quantify this again, so that you don't have to go and tell me how much you like Mothra. I was a little kid. Okay, when Battlestar Galactica came out in the '70s. I was a little kid. Warren Green's daughter was in an episode of Battlestar Galactica, and I thought she was gorgeous. Now she was like 10 or 11 at the time, but like I said, I was like 6 or 7. I don't know, but that's not why I like Warren Green. But I'm just saying, I was just thinking about that because I remember she was in an episode of it. But no, Warren Green was a great actor because even Galactica 1980, which everyone says is abysmal, he did his best acting in that show. I mean, like the whole premise of it was really crazy, but he always like kept it serious, you know. And of course, in the original Galactica, in the '78 version, he was great. You know, everyone was.
He was a Western actor, right?
Yeah,
Before he did all that.
he was
Yeah.
in Bonanza before that, but he's actually a Canadian actor. He did Canadian radio long before that. It's true.
I think
Oh, what is that? No Disintegrations. What else did you missed? Oh, that's the Galactica had some beautiful women on that program. Okay, yeah. Well, again, beyond the girls, again, you have to understand when I first watched Battlestar Galactica. Okay, just like the Wonder Woman show in the '70s. Okay, The girls I found attractive were the girls who were my age. So when I'm watching this at like 6, 7 years old, they were like at the most, let's say 10, at the most, let's say 12-year-old girls that I had crushes on. So like Wonder Woman, I watched Wonder Woman as a kid with Linda Carter. And everyone, I mean, like, back in the day, she was a pinup girl. Everyone loved, Wonder Woman. I mean, Linda Carter as Wonder Woman. I thought she was gorgeous. I was a young kid, so to me, she was an old woman. Granted, now I see the appeal, but at the time, even with Battlestar Galactica, I know that like Cassiopeia, Athena, and Sheba, they're like known to be really beautiful, and I think Sheba definitely is even now. I don't find Cassiopeia and Athena, the actresses, as attractive as I do Sheba. That's June Lockhart's daughter, Anne Lockhart. Anne Lockhart in the '70s was very attractive. I could see that now. At the time, I didn't.
Yeah, it's funny. My mom she always tells me, "Oh, I loved Wonder Woman." She had I think she even got the costume as a kid, and she used to run around as Linda Carter. And because my mom is very tall, so
Okay,
she's kind of built like Linda Carter. She was taller than all the other girls, so
right.
she could probably relate to it,
Yeah, no, I like Wonder Woman the show. I wasn't just like, oh, she's so hot, but I like the show. Any of those superhero shows.
Yeah,
To be honest, okay, so like the Marvel universe and all that stuff is popular now with the movies. In the '70s probably had more comic book TV shows than any other decade. It had Wonder Woman. I mean live action. I don't mean cartoons. It had Wonder Woman. It had Spider-Man. It had the Hulk. It had Shazam. It had, okay, this wasn't a comic book, but still, the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman were kind of comic booky. So it had a lot of superhero kind of TV shows, a ton of them back then.
yeah.
So yeah, and I love
DC.
them.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, yeah, I love DC, the DC characters. I think we've talked about this because I'm more of a DC guy. I don't know if you are.
well, yeah. As far as the comic book superheroes go, yeah. It was Action Comics that I read. Superman. There was no Superman TV show in the '70s, but I mean, there was a movie. The movies were out. But anyway, I read all the. In fact, I think I told you this because I have like a bunch of the Silver, Bronze, and Bronze Age comics of Action Comics.
Yeah,
Anything else
yeah.
on
I
like
grew up in the '90s, so that was when Batman was popular. So
Andor is not Disney story? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah,
pretty sure
Andor
it
is.
is. Like 99.9% sure.
I will drop
Okay,
$100.
basically trying to bribe me, trying to bribe me to watch the Andor. I appreciate it, Lonely Space Man, but
See, Hidden Gems here has a lot more integrity than I do. You give me $100, I'll watch it.
yeah, I mean, I guess I would. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'll watch it. I want the money up front though. First, I want the money first. I want the money first, and then I'll watch it.
So we didn't really discuss the tripods though. Did you want to hear about that, Hidden Gems? You want to hear about that, Lonely Spaceman, and everybody else? Oh, Tony, what did you say? Oh, you like Linda Carter, Tony? Okay. How old were you in the '70s? Oh, you were 8. Okay. Well, I guess I was a late. Well, I wasn't a late bloomer as far as liking girls. I liked girls that were my age. Like I said, like the famous five in the '70s. Oh man, Anne. I thought she was gorgeous, and she was like 10. But again, I was young too. $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman were fun series, very low budget. Well, all of them are low budget compared to well, they were low budget, but also too like back then TV shows didn't have a high budget. In fact, that's one of the
No,
things. That's one of the things that killed Battlestar Galactica. That was the highest budget program ever made at the time, the TV show, and
yeah,
even Battlestar Galactica. Here's a fun fact for you guys. The guy that made Battlestar Galactica, Glenn A. Larson, he also made the Hardy Boys Nancy Drew show that came out at the same time. I don't know if you're aware of that, but the Hardy Boys Nancy Drew show was always under budget. And that's the only reason how come he was able to keep making Battlestar Galactica for as long as he did, because they were so over budget. He basically was robbing Peter to pay Paul and balancing the budget that way. Because that's why the Hardy Boys show, like almost all of the main cast from Battlestar Galactica were in an episode of the Hardy Boys. And that's why, he was doing that to kind of like, fudge the budget a little bit. Like
yeah,
Warren Green was in an episode of the Hardy Boys. John Calicos was. A bunch of the actors were. I can't think of Cassiopeia's real name. Well, Laurette Spang. She was in a Nancy Drew episode. You know.
I remember when I was even that carried into the 90s because when I was a kid, TV was kind of like it was the cheapo, like, TV was always below movies in terms
Right.
of like, yeah, like budget
Right.
and stuff that TV shows didn't have as big a budget. It's totally different now.
Yeah.
TV is almost like on movie level now.
Well,
That whole market's changed.
the yellow thing too, though, is that I mean, yeah, they do have a budget, but they also now. I'm not saying they don't need a budget, but like sci-fi is completely different. Like back in the day, everything was models or like analog. It wasn't CGI. Like
Yeah, yeah.
like like
And
they
syndication too. That whole system is gone now because things used to be made to be syndicated.
right.
You
Well,
know
no, I'm
that
not about that. What I'm talking about, like getting away with a low budget. So, like the $6 million Man and Spider Man, as an example. You watch the Tom Holland, Nicholas Hammond Spider Man from the '70s. It's very cheesy because again, it was made practically. Now when you could put like I don't want to say CGI or like wires and then digitally take them out and all of that. It's a lot easier to like make that even on a low budget. Whereas back in the
yeah,
day,
yeah,
they were literally renting helicopters to like to like film Spider-Man climbing a wall, or they would have him because they had a guy climbing like a what do you call that? Not an escape artist, but a human fly who would climb buildings, and they would also film the building on the side where like now it's obvious it's on the side. He's not really climbing; he's just crawling
yeah,
on the ground. You know what I mean? It's really obvious. And well, of course, too. There's another thing also, which a lot of people don't realize too, is that the TVs back then. I mean, Tony, if you were 8 in '78, you would know this, but TVs back then had much lower resolution. So, like
yeah,
watching it now, watching the 4K DVD of Spider-Man or whatever, you're gonna see a lot that you couldn't see in the '70s because
yeah.
TV.
Even when I was a kid, because yeah, analog, even in analog was still the main thing in the 90s. I mean,
Right,
everybody still had tube TVs
right,
when I was a kid, so you couldn't like there's stuff I've rewatched, even stuff from when I was a kid, you can tell that, when you watch it on a, much higher resolution screen, it looks fake.
right, right. And
So
yeah,
even
yeah,
from
can't
30
really
years ago,
that.
yeah,
I mean, that's like as an example. I mean, this isn't the case, but I'm just using as an example. If if they had like, let's say in 20 years, if they have like widescreen TV, so everything you're watching, like every single TV show made now, you can see the cameraman because it zooms out and it's wide. You can't blame the
yeah,
show for that. They didn't make it that way. I mean,
yeah.
obviously
It's not.
that's
It
really
wasn't
important.
designed that way. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. Oh, my shoulder's going to sleep. But yeah, no. Oh, I'm sorry. Going back to the tripods. Do you guys want to hear about the tripod? Oh, yeah. Andre the Giant was Bigfoot. I do remember that. Yes. Yeah, I remember that, Tony. Yeah,
That's funny.
because he fought the $6 million.
Andre, I mean, he meant Andre the Giant. I'm assuming, not Andra.
Yeah, he means Andre the Giant. Yeah, yeah,
Andre the Giant. Yeah.
yeah. Because in the '70s, it was before he hurt his back, so he could actually do stunts and stuff. Like when he was in The Princess Bride, he was still a big man, but they were saying behind the scenes that with his back, he couldn't even lift Buttercup in real life. I mean, she was a 100-pound girl, but with his back, he didn't have the strength he had. Whereas in the '70s, he did. He was lifting we majors and all of these stunts they were doing. He was really doing. Pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Stunt work is just totally different now too. That's a whole
Oh yeah,
nother conversation.
yeah, yeah,
Those
yeah,
guys killed themselves doing that stuff.
yeah. Well, not only that, but the other thing too. Even going back to like things like Knight Rider and those shows. Again, with the low resolution TV, you couldn't tell. Now, if you watch those shows, it's obvious when the stuntman is taking over David Hasselhoff's role and doing the whoops and stuff.
Yeah.
Today it really wasn't that obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
was just watching Knight Rider, I think on DVD, like the high resolution, release of it. And yeah, it's really obvious when it's a stuntman doing the stuff.
Yeah. Since you're talking about that, it makes me think of in Destroy All Monsters, the Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
when that one guy jumps out of a window to kill himself or whatever.
Oh
You remember
yeah,
that
yeah,
part? Yeah, if you watch that, you can tell it's a dummy. Like you can see the wood. You can just basically just tell it's a wooden dummy that's just going in the. And I don't know if you know, like I think on the American version of it, they dub him screaming
yeah. I think
into
I
it.
heard
The
that.
Japanese one, I don't think he screams. The
Right, right,
American one, they dub in ah. It's just like a flat dummy, but he's
right,
going ah, and like falling. It's just like a block of wood basically.
right. Well, in all fairness, though, even back in the day, you could tell because like that was on a big movie theater,
Yeah,
so they
that's true.
get away with it the way they could on television.
That's true, yeah. I don't know
It
why
just didn't
they
care.
didn't I don't know. They coulda shot that better, but whatever.
Oh, talking about dubbing screams though, Godzilla 1985. That movie, they dubbed Godzilla's last scream when he falls into the volcano. And I think that was done so well that I like the American version better than the original Japanese version without it. Because it
Yeah,
wasn't just
lot
a
yeah.
killer roar. The way they like pitched it, he actually sounded terrified falling into the volcano. Because I saw that in the movies, Godzilla 1985 when it first came out, and I was like, "Whoa!" What I mean. I was just blown away, because it was so intense.
Yeah, and that's one of those ones, that's never been re-released. It's only on tape, I think.
Well,
Godzilla
no,
'85.
it's you can get the international release. It wasn't released in the states.
Yeah, that's what I mean, the American version of it or whatever.
No, 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 it was, but just not in the states.
Oh, really?
Yep, you can get it in the UK, including Canada.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
Yeah, I
I'll have to
have it.
track that down online.
That's why I know.
The '85,
Yeah,
the
I-
one with the extra stuff in it?
yeah, I have
Okay,
it.
alright. I didn't know that. Hmm.
In fact, hold on a minute. I can show it to you right now. I think I have it on this hard drive. Hold on a second. I'll show you a little clip of it. If I do have it here on this hard drive, I think I do. I know I have it. I'm sure of that. I just don't know if I have it here. Uh, I don't have it here, but I do have it. I promise you.
Wow. Yeah, with they don't didn't they have, like didn't they add in, like, Dr. Pepper stuff, like
Yeah.
a
Oh
bunch of
yeah.
Dr.
Yeah.
Pepper.
Yep.
Yeah, the
Yeah. Because I still remember the commercials because they had Dr. Pepper had commercials of Godzilla in it. They actually filmed a couple scenes with a like really weird dummy, like not a dummy, but a really weird suit because like it wasn't they couldn't borrow the Japanese suit for that, but they used their own suit and they filmed them drinking Dr. Pepper, in some of the
That's
well,
funny.
well, in Canada anyway. I don't know if they did that in the States or not, but yeah. Oh, Tony says, you remember Batman and Robin climbing the Batmobile up the sides of buildings? Yes, I do remember that, Tony. You know what? Here's something a lot of people don't know. That wasn't the first live action Batman. The first live action Batman was the 40 serial. And the
Yeah,
40 serial was actually a lot more serious. It wasn't
yeah.
quite as serious as the 80s, Joker with Jack Nicholson. I mean, it wasn't as violent as that, definitely. But I mean, like, it was a lot more, it wasn't like the slapstick bang pow of the 60s TV show.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I've seen
didn't
bits and
mean to miss
pieces
that.
of it
Hmm?
where they drive around like it isn't Batman. It's just a normal car,
Just a normal car, basically,
right?
yeah. But the one thing
Yeah,
about the 40s serial with Batman is that it's very racist. I mean, like because it was during World War II, and the one villain is supposed to be like the yellow peril from Japanese, Asian kind of stuff, where
yeah,
it's really stereotyped. It's a guy in yellow face, and it's very racist, honestly.
yeah. Well, that's World War II. Yeah,
Well,
there are a
no,
lot of
no,
that stuff from
no,
that era. Yeah,
Superman wasn't. Superman was just like Lex Luthor was one of the villains in the 40 serial. In the second serial, it was the Spider Lady, and it was just a fantastic superhero thing. The Batman thing was just for whatever reason very racist.
hmm. Well, I might try to wrap it up here.
Well,
It's
are there
getting a
any more
little late.
comments? I don't want to miss anybody.
I think that was the last one.
Were there any before that we missed?
I don't think so. I think that's it.
Okay. Well, I didn't talk about the tripods enough. Did I? You want to hear about that quick before we go?
I guess real quick here, yeah, if you want
Okay.
to.
Okay, I'll make it as fast as I can. So I'll tell the whole story then. So the prequel shows you how the tripods actually were able to take over. Wait. First, let me mention this. So the tripods was a trilogy of books written by John Christopher in the late '60s. Okay, in 1980, the BBC magazine called Boys Life made a comic book strip serial of the tripods books, and then like around 83, 84, the BBC TV made a televised a television series, 13-episode series based on the first book, a 13-episode series based on the second book, maybe a 12-episode, and I didn't make the third book because this was in the '80s, around a time when like the BBC was like trying to get rid of science fiction. It's a time that they were like trying to crash Doctor Who, so it was around that time. But anyway, but the series was popular enough that John Christopher made a prequel book. So when the original trilogy came out, the tripods have already taken over. You don't know what's happening until you find out. So I will tell you the prequel, even though it came out later, kind of like the Star Wars books, the Star Wars movies. So the prequels show that the tripods are they're aliens, I should say. These aliens from another solar system. They land on Earth and they want to take over the Earth. But the thing is with these aliens, even though they have faster than light flight, their big technology is understanding the brain and like controlling the brain, not just the human brain, but like any intelligent brain. Okay, they don't have weapons even like what man has in the 20th century. So like they come to like invade the Earth, and a couple tanks just blow them up. You know what I mean? So like it's almost a joke because like it actually is a joke in the newspapers and stuff. Now you're following this family of protagonists, but they're reading the paper and it's a joke about how these aliens landed. They want to take over the Earth and we wipe them out like instantly. But what they don't know is that the aliens who like escape, who like leave, they don't just leave and go home. They stay just out of radar, and they beam microwave signals to the satellites that are showing television. So like TV is like ubiquitous around the Earth, and there are these subliminal messages in the TV. It was a show called The Hippie Show, if I remember correctly, and so like people would watch this and they would be like, for a time, they would be brainwashed into like obeying these aliens. So these aliens, they would land surreptitiously and they would cap. Capping is like putting a can you look up the Tripods TV show and show a picture of it, of the cap? The cap is an iconic thing. So you'll probably find that. That way your viewers would know what I'm talking about.
All right, got it here. And
Okay, cool.
oh, hang on, sorry.
Okay.
That was
Yes, there you go. Good. Okay. Yes. I remember this girl anyway. She was in another show, but that's not the point. The point. Anyway, so yes. So like what they would do. Okay. So like this is after they've taken over the Earth, but like in the prequel, they would land, and the people who were temporarily brainwashed, they would cap. They would put them. They would put those metal mesh things on their heads, which would basically brainwash them permanently. Okay. So like by the time I should mention, so like, but by the time people really realize what's happening, a lot of the major countries have been taken over completely. Like the ones who were capped, or they like basically force those who haven't watched TV to watch TV and then go and be capped themselves. I think the African nations, because again, there's not as much TV in Africa, especially in the '80s. They're just kind of like invaded into submission. Like they use the European and other nations to like invade Africa and just make them be capped. The only European nation that was able to hold off was Switzerland, for whatever reason. I don't. That's kind of random because okay, the reason why is because the Swiss Alps are where the resistance is in the trilogy of books. But anyway, it's random that that would be a country that would be able to like control this because they have as many TVs as everybody else does. But anyway, so what happens is all of the other countries of capped humans, they declare war on Switzerland, and they just like they just push them back and then make them be capped. Now those who escape, they escape into the Swiss Alps. The capped don't realize that there are people left over. So when the alien, I call them the tripods, when the aliens actually land this time, they're in those tripods, which is those three-legged machines that you see in the photo. Okay, and again, they're not very durable to like modern technology, but because they've already taken over the minds of people, so that they don't have the modern technology. They're not actually attacking them. They start like invading the Earth that way because they can't breathe our atmosphere. The aliens, they can't breathe our atmosphere. So like they're roaming around in these tripods, and so eventually what happens is they have all humans like destroy all of their technology, and they're living like they are in pre-industrial times. And so when people come of age, I think at 14 or 15, when they get capped, and that's what you saw that one girl being capped for in that in the previous photo. So the three kids, that's Henry, Bean, Paul, and Will from left to right. They're the protagonists of the original trilogy. Oh, and that's Fritz also. He's in the second book, but three people. Oh, and that's what the aliens look like who are inside the tripods. Okay. Um, you hear me, James? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So anyway, you find out. Okay, so like when the first book starts, it's told in the first person by Will, the guy on the left, who's also in the first book. So he's basically he's a kid. He's talking about his life, and again, as a person, you're reading this book, you don't know what's going. I mean, like you might have read the back cover and know it's alien invasion, but you don't know what's going on. You would basically think that it's a kid in the 1700s or whatever because he doesn't have any technology, but he's talking about stuff. But then he says that like he mentions a clock, but he says that his father is the only one in the town that has a pocket that has a wristwatch or a pocket watch. I think it is a pocket watch, and he's talking about how like it's old and it was made by the ancients, and the ancients were all horrible people who warred on each other and blah 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 blah. And then I should mention so like there's no war anymore, but everyone's brainwashed. So then I think he's talking about he has a hiding place that he goes to with his one friend who's going to be capped soon, and the place is something city. I think it says it's ELE City, and he's like, I wonder what kind of city that is. It's just like this like place that has this like metal building. It was an electricity plant at the time, that's why but like all that's faded off, so it just says ELE City. He doesn't understand. So so his friend gets capped, and because he's a year older, and so he knows that like once he's capped, he isn't going to be interested in any of that stuff. So he has that like hiding place to himself now. But there are what's called vagrants, because one out of every 50 cappings is unsuccessful, and so the person who's capped goes kind of crazy, and they just wander around like like mentally not mentally crazy, and they're wandering around. One of the vagrants is talking to Will, and Will realizes that it's not a vagrant because he's not just talking crazy. Like when he's alone with Will, he's talking about how like what the ancients had and so forth and so on. And then he explains to Will that like the caps, they don't know. They don't know they're aliens, but they know that they that they know that humanity at the time had technology to build tripods. So they actually think that it might be computers that went rogue and took over. They don't know. Okay, but like but there's a resistance of uncapped people in the White Mountains, which is in the Swiss Alps, and he says to Will, if you don't want to be capped, you can go, can go there. I'm going to tell you how to get there. He shows Will a map of Europe to tell him. So he's in England. He shows him how, like what he has to do to get there. Will hasn't even seen a map before, so that tells you like how little technology they have. So like the first book, The White Mountains, is their adventure getting to the White Mountains. So Will and his cousin Henry go, and when they get to France, they befriend Beanpole, another young boy, and they go. Oh, I should mention too. There's no girls in. Well, there's very few girls in the books. Okay, back in the day in sci-fi books, there were very few girls, honestly. But
Yeah,
anyway,
because it
so
was
like,
mostly read by boys. Yeah, that
right,
makes sense.
right. So like they
Yeah.
go to the White Mountain. The only girl is he befriend. Okay, so like at one point, Will gets really sick when they're in France, and they learn French, and they get picked up by there's this rich family in a chateau, and some of their knights pick them up, and they pretend that they're just that like it's a tradition in England to like roam around the last year before you're capped, and they want to be capped. So they befriend like understand everyone's capped here. So like they befriend them. The rich family has a young daughter named Eloise that Will falls in love with, and he wants to tell Eloise they're like what they really want to do, that they want to escape to the White Mountains. And Henry and Beanpole are kind of against that, but there's this big like festival, and so Will says, I will go, I will stay here and explain it to Eloise, and we'll catch up with you later. You guys can leave. But it turns out that Eloise is already capped, so he doesn't tell Eloise what he's doing. Fortunately, he finds out like before that, so he doesn't tell her. But like the festival ends. It's a big contest. It's like a big like joust and all this stuff with like middle-aged knights, middle ages knights. Well, like the winner chooses the queen of the festival, and they choose Eloise. So Eloise is sent to the Tripod City, and they serve there forever and ever. So Will is really distraught and angry and everything, and so he just leaves. So anyway, they have all adventures, and they get to the White Mountains, and they find Julius, who's the leader of the resistance, and that's what happens in the first book. Now, in the second book, you find out that the rebels of the resistance, whatever you want to call them, the good guys in the White Mountains, they need to find out all they can about the tripods, and the tripods have 3 cities around the world, and they have these like Olympic championships, and whoever wins becomes servants in the cities. So what the resistance does is they train their like whoever volunteers, they like train them to be like champions of sports, so that they can be chosen to go into the city. So Will, okay, a bunch of them go for it. It turns out to be Will and Fritz. So like Henry and Beanpole, the two from the first book that you saw, they're not in the city, but Fritz, the guy from before, is. So you go back to the photo from the last photo. Will you see them?
Okay. Yeah, hang on.
Okay. Okay, so that's in the city. So that's why Will is on the left, Fritz is in the middle, and because they're in the tripod city, the tripods don't have to wear. The aliens, they don't have to wear like masks or be inside the tripod, but humans have to wear masks because, like I said, the atmosphere the oxygen level is different. So like they're in the city, but the thing is that they find out secrets of the tripods, the aliens, because again they didn't even know that they were aliens, so they find out they find out what they need to find out. But the thing is that living in the city ages you so much that humans only live for about 4 years. So this is one of the reasons how come I was saying that if they finish the third show now, okay, they would have to use all new actors because the show came out in the 80s. But the actor who played Fritz can actually play himself now. The reason why is because like in order to like escape and give the information back, Will has to leave by himself, and Fritz stays. He stays for about a year or two. So like by the time he gets out, he's really aged. That's why I'm saying that the same actor can actually play him. You see what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's pretty
Right.
cool.
Right. But anyway, so in the second book, like I said, it's basically the adventures of how they like win the Olympics, and they go into the city and they find out all the secrets that they need to find out. The City of Golden Lead, that's the name of the second book. And that's what the tripod city looks like. So like they go in there, Will escapes, Beanpole was like outside waiting for him, and they escape and they go back to the resistance. Now like it looks like that the tripods have found them and like destroyed the entire resistance base. Okay. And like that's where it ends in the TV show. It's a cliffhanger, and it's never, you have to read the book because they never made the third book. But like it looks like that like Will and them, they finally get back, and everything is destroyed. But that's not what actually happened. What actually happened was, because again, Julius sent them to the city, and he doesn't know if they're going to escape or if they'd find out or what would happen. So he basically said that, like, once they leave, to like go play in the Olympics, they're gonna move everything destroy everything and then move to a different base, so that way if they're captured, they can't say this is where the base is. You follow me? You see what I mean?
Wow.
Hidden, you understand?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
awesome.
Right. So when the third book starts, like Will, Beanpole think that everything's done, but then they find out that there's a couple people there left, and they're like, no, we just moved the bases over here. So in the third book, oh, I should mention, one of the things they find out is that there's a spaceship coming from the aliens' home planet. Once it lands, it'll land in about 4 years. Once it lands, it has machinery that would turn the atmosphere from our atmosphere to their atmosphere and kill everybody on the planet. Okay, so like Julius thought that they had like generations to like build up strength in order to like fight the tripods, and then when they get back, they're like, no, we only have 4 years. you know. So so let's see. So among other things, he sends Will and a bunch of different recruits to actively pretend to be vagrants, just the way they had some vagrants before. Well, like they're actively like recruiting young boys who are 13, 14, like before they become capped, so that they can join the resistance. The Pool of Fire is the third book. So anyway, they gain numbers dramatically, and and what they need. The first thing that they need to do is capture one of the aliens live. So like they realize that anything out of the ordinary would be a subject of curiosity for the aliens, and especially because their atmosphere is green. That they realize that if they dress up a horse if they paint a horse green and dress up a person in green and have them run on the horse, and the tripod's going to chase them. And so they build this huge pit so that the tripod would chase them and then fall in the pit, and they can capture the alien. And they do that, and they find out because they're trying to find out the weaknesses of the aliens. And one thing I should mention that they mentioned in the second book that there's not a drop of alcohol in the whole city. Like for their human slaves, they don't have alcohol. Which again, you don't know why, but you would think, okay, they just want them to be sober and serve the tripods. It turns out that like the aliens have like a basically built-in system so that they can't be poisoned or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like if you feed them poisoned food, they won't eat it. They realize it's poisoned. But alcohol does not go. It's not one of those things. And alcohol, unlike humanity, where you have to drink and get drunk. If they have a drop of alcohol, they'll just drop unconscious for 24 hours or more. Okay, so like they're really susceptible to alcohol. So basically, then what they do is they attack these cities by having them infiltrated, and then I should mention the aliens also need a lot of water. That's why the cities, there's one in Germany, one in Asia, and one in Panama. So the North and South American resistance, they're going to attack the Panama because it's right over the Panama Canal. So like they're all over water. So one is over the Rhine, one is over the Panama Canal, and one is over the Ginsu River, in China. So they're going to attack all of those. The European one and the Asian one are successfully infiltrated. They attack them by pouring the alcohol into the water supply, and so they're all unconscious. And then they're able to like shut down the city. It turns out that the Pool of Fire, it's basically a big nuclear power plant. That's not nuclear. I think it's electrical, but either way, they're able to like turn that off. And then when they turn it off, the gravity and I should mention the tripods have a very high gravity. That's another thing that like ages people really fast. So the gravity and the atmosphere are all done away with. So the unconscious aliens all die because pure oxygen, like pure. I don't mean pure oxygen, but I mean like our atmosphere is put in as in replacement of theirs, and they suffocate in their sleep. But the American one, the North American one, is not taken over, so they have to attack that one. In the meantime, Beanpole, I should mention, Beanpole is really intelligent. Beanpole and a bunch of scientists, they're relearning human science, by like books and things of that nature, and they build flying ships to like attack the tripods in the North American city, but that doesn't work because the tripods are able to use like an EMP pulse to shut all of them down. So what they have to do is use balloons if you look for the Pool of Fire, you can probably find another cover where they're over the city in balloons. Do you have that? Hot air balloons?
Yeah.
I actually have the book that has that cover. I don't know how easy it is to find now. Though I have the book, but I don't know if you could. I'm sure you can Google it. Let me see. Pool of Fire, John Christopher. Image. Oh, here we are. Yeah, right here. You see it? It says the Pool of Fire. They're like. There's one on eBay being for sale. You see it? I could email it to you. Well, that's not the one I had in mind, but that's a good. Well, actually, it's not the one I had in mind, but that's a good example. The one here. Let me send you the photo of what I'm talking about. I didn't even see that before. That's an edition I hadn't seen. Let me see here. Pool of Fire. Okay, I'm going to email that to you. Compose.
Do you, not to interrupt, do you want to save it for next time, Sean? Because the wife's calling here. I probably should get going here.
Oh, all right, yeah, that's fine. But yeah, it was almost done. Okay, that's cool. If anyone wants to hear about that, you can email me. Actually, let me. Can I just give my email address? How many people are still on?
We got 5, I think.
Okay, so
I want to keep going, but I got to get going.
If you're interested in the tripods or anything else, you want to contact me. You can email me at capital S as in Sean, capital H as in Henry, lowercase a as in Apple, lowercase g as in Gorilla, lowercase I as in India, lowercase n as in Nancy, lowercase s as in Sean, underscore 17551 at yahoo.com. Okay, hope you got that. Thank you. Hey, Hidden, are you saving this video? Can you give me a copy of
Yeah,
this? Cool.
it'll save it to my, yeah, you want me to send it to you?
Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you. See ya.
Yeah, we'll do this again, Sean. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Maybe
Yeah.
with Meg next time.
Yeah, I'll try to get a hold of Meg. We'll get her on here one way or the other.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
So, yeah, sure thing. And
Bye-bye.
as I always say, may the force be with you all, always.